Hi, I'm Mary. I'm working with my husband Samuel at his family's small business. The business, run by my father-in-law Liam, has about 6 employees. Liam is quiet and doesn't get involved much in day-to-day tasks. Instead, Samuel, who will likely be the next president, is very dedicated and works hard with clients and new projects. Everyone comes together for big projects, creating a lively and energetic atmosphere. I've been a part of this for 8 years since marrying Samuel. Recently, my mother-in-law Amanda has expressed some concerns about me being involved. When I came home early to make dinner while Samuel worked late, Amanda confronted me, saying, "How long are you going to stay in our family business?" It seemed like she was more focused on criticizing me than enjoying her retirement. In response, I kept calm and asked, "What do you mean by clinging?" Amanda jumped in, suggesting that my marriage to Samuel was just a way for me to get a job at their company and that I was taking advantage of it. This wasn't the first time she had made such accusations, and it was becoming a regular issue. When I married Samuel, I chose to leave my old job and join his family's business because I wanted to, not because I had no other options, as Amanda seemed to think. I tried to explain, "Mom, it's not that I couldn't work elsewhere. I chose to be here." But she didn't seem to understand and continued to believe her own assumptions about my reasons. The tension with Amanda went beyond just words. Even though she had promised to manage the household after retiring, she didn't help out much. Instead, she insisted, "I've worked all my life. Now it's the daughter-in-law's turn to handle the household duties." So I often ended up managing dinner and cleanup. One afternoon, I mustered up the courage to talk to Amanda about a problem that had been bothering me. "Amanda," I started carefully, "I've noticed that there are often dirty dishes left in the sink. It would really help if you could clean up after yourself." Instead of responding calmly, Amanda reacted angrily. She accused me of overstepping my role as a daughter-in-law and trying to impose rules in her home. I was worried about dinner getting delayed because of this argument, so I tried to stay calm and suggested, "Mom, let's talk about this later. I need to start preparing dinner." Amanda agreed and went to the living room, leaving me to focus on getting the meal ready. Both Liam and Samuel had seen Amanda's harsh treatment of me and tried to step in when they could, but their efforts often seemed to have little effect. When they spoke up, it usually only made Amanda more upset with me. Despite their concern and attempts to help, Amanda's words were still painful. While I never faced physical violence, the emotional hurt was significant. Liam and Samuel's support was crucial in helping me cope with Amanda's harsh remarks, but it was especially tested on one tough morning. After cleaning up from breakfast and getting ready to leave for work, Amanda suddenly shouted, "Oh my, what a mess. A trash heap here." And without any warning, she threw a bucket of water on my handbag. I was stunned, feeling a mix of shock and anger. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice shaking with disbelief. Amanda's response was dismissive and childish. "Oh, was that your stuff? I thought it was just a big piece of trash." Her careless attitude only made me more upset. "Even if you thought it was trash, who pours water on it?" I asked, struggling to understand her lack of concern. As I sat across from Amanda in the morning light, she looked cold and determined, as if she had made up her mind to take a drastic step. "What kind of reasoning is that? Now the carpet is soaked, and what about the vacuum cleaner?" I said, frustrated and confused, as I tried to dry my important work documents. Amanda, with a chilling indifference, said, "You don't need to go to work anymore." I was completely bewildered. "Excuse me?" I replied, stunned and in disbelief. Amanda's next words felt like a sharp blow to my heart. "You've been clinging to this house for 8 years, but today I can finally get rid of you." Her voice was filled with anger and determination I had never seen from her before. I was overwhelmed with sadness and confusion. "Getting rid of me?" I repeated, my voice trembling. "She made me feel like a complete outsider in this family. My daughter is joining the company, so you need to leave. Today is your last day. Just bow your head to your father-in-law and Samuel and apologize for all the trouble you've caused." Her mocking laughter only deepened my hurt. She was using my job to force me out. I had dedicated years to this role, building respect and creating memories. I was shocked and heartbroken, struggling to understand how my sacrifices seemed so meaningless to her. "Are you sure about this? Wasn't Emma working in a clothing store in Philadelphia?" I asked, confused and worried. My job was more than just a paycheck. It was important to me. Meanwhile, Emma, my sister-in-law, was apparently tired of city life and wanted to return. She said she was tired of dealing with the cold people in Philadelphia, so I promised her a job when she came back, Amanda said with finality. "She's coming back immediately, and now that she is, I want you out of this house." Her words hit me like a freezing gust of wind. With one sweeping decision, she was appending my life and dismissing my role in the family without any chance for discussion. She handed me an envelope. "I've written your resignation letter," she said, effectively banishing me from our home. In that moment, my heart felt completely shattered. All my years of hard work and dedication seemed to be dismissed as if they were nothing but scraps of paper. Amanda's actions had ripped apart the fabric of our family bond, leaving it deeply scarred. With a heavy heart, I walked the short 5 minutes to the company, a route I had traveled many times before, but never with such a swirl of emotions. Each step under the cool morning sky felt heavy with the weight of the situation. When I arrived at the office, I told my father-in-law, Liam, and my husband, Samuel, about Amanda's harsh decision. They looked shocked and restrained, but they managed to stay calm despite the chaos. They suggested that maybe stepping away for a while could show Amanda the real impact of her demands. This idea sent my heart into even more turmoil. After working so hard for the family business for years, the thought of taking a break longer than the short Thanksgiving or Christmas holidays felt overwhelming and strange. Encouraged by Samuel and Liam's supportive advice, "Why don't you spread your wings for a change?" I decided to take a short trip. As I packed, I reflected on my life, the choices I had made, and what the future might hold. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law, Emma, who was supposed to replace me at the company, arrived unexpectedly late at 2 p.m. Her careless attitude left Samuel and Liam frustrated and confused. Despite their attempts to help her understand the business, Emma seemed uninterested. Hearing this made me anxious about the company's future, even as I looked forward to my trip. I left without another word to Amanda and quickly set off. As the train moved, I looked out at the changing scenery, using the time to think about my past and future. The trip gave me a chance to take a break and reflect. While enjoying local seafood specialties, I often thought about my family and the business. On the 5th day of my getaway, my peaceful time was suddenly interrupted by a tearful call from Emma. "What's going on?" Mom said it was an easy job, just sitting in a chair, but Samuel and Dad are acting like I can't do anything right, Emma complained. Her words mirrored what my mother-in-law had probably told her, and I was taken aback. Even though I was enjoying a more relaxed pace during my trip, I knew it was time to help Emma face reality. "So Emma, how good are you with computers?" I asked, sensing her hesitation. "Well, I usually watch videos online and play games too," she replied. Her answer suggested she wasn't very skilled with computers. I asked her if she knew how to use software tools like Word or Excel. Her confused response surprised me, especially since she had worked in the Philadelphia apparel industry, where tasks like tracking sales and managing inventory would have required basic computer skills. "Can you handle calculations for sales or fill out documents?" I asked. She confidently said she could do those tasks. However, when I asked, "Can you calculate the right amount of tax?" her confidence wavered, and she answered uncertainly. This wasn't just about her math skills, but about her ability to apply them in a real business setting. While Emma might have other talents, it was clear that she wasn't sure about the skills needed for the job. Her discomfort with calculations seemed to be a big part of why Liam and Samuel were criticizing her. "It's crucial to confront the motives of my mother-in-law and her supporters who want to push me out," I said. "Since you're taking over my role, I expect you to manage the accounting tasks properly. Remember that email etiquette is important. A casual tone might work with friends, but it's not suitable for business communications. Also, you'll be responsible for scheduling staff shifts. Our team is small, but we take everyone's requests for time off seriously, so make sure not to prioritize your convenience over theirs." I advised her firmly, continuing to outline her responsibilities. I could hear Emma sobbing on the other end of the line. It was a tough conversation, but it was necessary for her to understand the reality and expectations of the role she was stepping into. Emma abruptly ended the call, clearly overwhelmed by the tasks at hand. Over the next 4 days, I took the opportunity to explore Philadelphia, the very place Emma had left. Surprisingly, I found the people there warmer than expected, which was a stark contrast to the cold-hearted nature of my mother-in-law, Amanda, and Emma, who seemed determined to push me out. A week after leaving my job, I returned to my in-laws' house. As soon as I arrived, Amanda confronted me, her face red with fury. "How dare you make my daughter cry? You won't get away with this." Amanda yelled, her eyes filled with anger and confusion. Before she could reach me, Samuel and Liam stepped in, trying to calm her down. Despite their efforts, Amanda's anger showed no signs of easing. Samuel explained calmly but firmly, "Emma is upset because she was scolded for trying to boss around her employees, even though she doesn't know how to do the job properly. It's not Mary's fault. Besides, Mary hasn't been here for a week, so she couldn't have upset Emma." Amanda shot back emotionally, "It's because of her. This woman is the reason for Emma's troubles. She accused me without any real basis." "Where is Emma, by the way?" I asked, looking around the room. She was nowhere to be found, adding to the mystery. "It's odd. Emma has nowhere else to go since she gave up her apartment in Philadelphia. I assumed she'd be here," I said, puzzled. Samuel then shared, "Emma's locked herself in her room. She's been crying and doesn't want to go to work anymore. She's overwhelmed because she doesn't have the skills needed for the job." Amanda was still upset and accused, "You've been turning Samuel and Liam against me. They wouldn't say the company is doing better with you instead of Emma unless you made them think badly about her." Samuel sighed deeply, clearly tired of the family drama and his failed attempts to clear things up. "Mom," he started again, trying to explain, "it might sound unusual, but Mary is really good at her job. She's certified in bookkeeping, she's great at secretarial work, and she even studied Spanish abroad. She manages all the multilingual communications at the company." He said this proudly. Amanda looked surprised, obviously not knowing about my qualifications and what I had done. "That sounds like something from a TV show," she mumbled. Thinking back, I shared that in college I was so focused on getting various certifications and studying that I barely had time for social activities or romance. It was during this time that I met Samuel when he visited my company for business. I found myself telling the story of how we first met, hoping to clear up misunderstandings and show the reality of our lives. However, I realized Amanda wasn't interested in hearing about my qualifications or past achievements, so I steered the conversation back to the current situation. In short, I took care of many different tasks at the company, like accounting, scheduling, talking with other companies, and managing employee shifts, I explained, describing my wide range of responsibilities. Samuel added, "The work environment has been much better since you became less involved, Mom." Amanda was visibly surprised by his comment. At that moment, Liam, Samuel's father, chimed in with unexpected news. "We're thinking about closing the company soon. Emma made a big mistake. Instead of preparing some important documents, she decided to answer phone calls because she thought it would be more fun. While we were away, she was rude to an important contact from another company, which could cause serious problems." I was shocked and covered my mouth with my hand. "I can't believe Emma would do something like that," I murmured, feeling disbelief and fear about how her actions could potentially ruin the company. While I was worrying about everything that was happening, the situation took another unexpected turn. When I explained our situation to the president of the other company, he suggested it might be time to think about merging our companies. He was interested in taking over our family business. Liam continued, "This was unexpected but hopeful news. A merger could help stabilize our customer base, which Samuel has been working hard to achieve through his efforts in sales." This news was a relief to Samuel and Liam, but not to Amanda. She suddenly objected, "That's not acceptable. Samuel should become the president. This is our company, isn't it? He shouldn't just be an employee." Amanda exclaimed passionately, unable to accept losing the prestige of owning a company. Her outburst caught Emma's attention, and she came downstairs to see what was going on. Amid the chaos, Liam spoke up with a calm but firm tone, "I am divorcing you. You've not only resisted change and neglected your responsibilities at home and with the family, but I've also found out about your affairs with younger men. I can't support this behavior any longer." This announcement shocked everyone, especially Samuel and me. Liam then took some divorce papers and a photo of Amanda with a young man from a shelf in the living room and placed them on the table. "If you look at these divorce papers now and pack up your things, I won't ask for alimony. Trying to get money from you would be pointless," he said firmly. "How can you say that? Haven't I dedicated myself to this house all these years?" Amanda protested. "Have you done any real housework in the last 8 years? Spending someone else's money on young men doesn't count as devotion to this house," Liam replied, sounding more frustrated than we'd ever heard him. This was the first time we saw this stern side of Liam, who was usually mild-mannered, as he addressed the deep-seated issues in the family. In the middle of all this family drama, seeing Liam, usually so calm and controlled, looking visibly upset was a shock to everyone, especially Emma, who had just walked into the room. She shook slightly, clearly shocked and scared. "Emma, this affects you too," Liam said firmly. "You came back because you couldn't make it on your own in Philadelphia. Now you can't even find a job here, and you act like you're better than everyone else. You've stopped trying to work altogether and seem to be avoiding responsibility. It's time for you to leave this house as well." Emma was stunned, her face showing confusion and denial. "Wait a minute, Dad. Even if Mom has her problems, I'm still your daughter, right?" she protested, desperately trying to hold on to her place in the family. Amanda, feeling hurt by her daughter's words, asked in shock, "Are you betraying me now, Emma?" Her voice was filled with hurt and disbelief. As things got more heated, Liam quickly stepped in to prevent more arguments. "To avoid more trouble, I've arranged for both of you to stay with someone I know until you get back on your feet. They'll be here soon to pick you up, so please pack your essential things," he said firmly, making it clear there was no room for discussion. With heavy hearts and no other options, Amanda and Emma packed up their belongings. Soon after, Liam's acquaintance, who managed a factory with living quarters, arrived to take them to their temporary home. Meanwhile, Samuel, Liam, and I used this time to inform our employees about the upcoming merger with a larger company, preparing them for the changes and challenges ahead. During these big changes, I found out I was pregnant. I shared the happy news with the president of the company acquiring ours. He was excited and promised to find a suitable replacement for my position to ensure a smooth transition. With the promise of new opportunities and the excitement of our growing family, Samuel and Liam threw themselves into their work even more, motivated by the bright future that lay ahead.
The wedding invitations mock me from across the dining room table, their cream-colored elegance a stark contrast to the turmoil in my chest. I've been staring at them for hours, pen hovering over the address list, stuck on one particular name that should be simple but isn't. Dad. My phone buzzes. It's Mom. Have you started addressing them yet? Sort of. I twist a strand of hair around my finger, a habit I thought I'd broken years ago. I'm at Dad's name. Ah! The weight of understanding in that single syllable makes my throat tight. And I can't invite her, Mom. I won't. The words come out in a rush like I've been holding them back for years. Maybe hate. Alara, honey, it's your wedding. Your day. She pauses. But you know what this means. I do. The memory of last Christmas floods back, Dad's absent chair at dinner, Celeste's perfectly crafted text about his sudden flu. The same flu that miraculously cleared up the day after my graduation party years ago. The same convenient illness that kept him from my art show opening, my first book signing, every milestone that might have given us a chance to reconnect. He won't come without her. I trace the embossed edges of an envelope. But I can't watch her play the doting stepmother for one more event. Not this time. My fiancé Orion's footsteps echo from the kitchen. He appears with 2 cups of tea, setting one beside me without a word. His presence steadies me like always. Remember what happened at Juniper's wedding? Mom asks gently. How could I forget? Celeste, resplendent in white, upstaging the bride. The way she clung to Dad's arm, steering him away whenever I approached. Her theatrical tears during the father-daughter dance, lamenting how she'd never have that moment herself. That's exactly why I can't invite her. I take a sip of tea, letting the warmth spread through my chest. I won't let her make my wedding about her trauma of never having children. Again, your father will be hurt. Dad's been hurting me for 15 years. The words taste bitter. Ever since he let her move into our house 2 months after you left. Remember when she threw out all my childhood photos because they cluttered the living room? I remember. Mom's voice hardens. I also remember her telling you that your art was just a hobby, right before your college applications were due. Orion's hand finds my shoulder, squeezing gently. He knows this story. He knows all of them. I'm addressing the invitation to Dad only. I say, finally putting pen to paper. If he chooses not to come, that's his decision. Not mine. Are you ready for the fallout? No. But I write anyway, my handwriting steady despite the trembling in my chest. Gideon Matthews. No and guest. No Celeste. Just my father's name, alone on the cream-colored envelope like a challenge. I have to be. I seal the envelope before I can change my mind. It's time he really chose between us. After hanging up, I stack the addressed invitations neatly, leaving Dad's on top. Tomorrow, they'll all go to the post office. Tomorrow, I'll set this wheel in motion. But tonight, I curl into Orion's arms on the couch, trying to ignore the notification light blinking on my phone. It's probably Celeste, asking about wedding plans she has no right to know about. Or maybe it's Dad, with another excuse for missing dinner last week. Either way, I'm done pretending. Done playing the dutiful daughter while she orchestrates my father's disappearing acts. The invitation sits on the table, a white flag turned weapon. Let the war begin. 3 days after mailing the invitations, Dad's number lights up my phone during lunch break. My stomach drops, but I answer anyway, stepping away from my desk at the gallery. I just got your invitation. His voice sounds tired, older than I remember. There must have been a mistake. No mistake, Dad. I lean against the cool brick wall of the storage room, grateful for its solidity. The invitation is just for you. Alara. He says my name the way he used to when I was young and being difficult about bedtime. You know I can't come without Celeste. She's my wife. And I'm your daughter. The words scratch my throat. Or at least I used to be. A long silence follows, filled with 15 years of missed dinners and empty chairs. I hear papers shuffling on his end, probably at his office, where he always seems to be when Celeste doesn't want him somewhere else. Is this about Christmas? He asks finally. Because we already explained. It's about everything. I check my watch. 5 minutes until my next client meeting. It's about every time you've chosen her over me since I was 14. That's not fair. I've never. Last month, I cut in. I invited you to dinner. Just you. You said yes. Then suddenly you had a work emergency. I did. I saw you, Dad. At Marcelo's. With Celeste. The same night, the same time I'd asked you to meet me at Carlo's. Another silence, heavier this time. I imagine him at his desk, pinching the bridge of his nose like he always does when confronted with an uncomfortable truth. She'd had a rough day, he says finally. She needed me. And I didn't. The gallery door chimes. Through the storage room window, I see Juniper arriving early for our meeting about her wedding photos. She catches my eye and mouths, "You okay?" I manage a weak nod. "Look," Dad sighs, "I'll talk to Celeste. Maybe we can work something out." "No." The word comes out sharper than I intended. No more negotiations. No more compromises. The invitation is for you alone. It's your choice whether to come or not. You're putting me in an impossible position. Welcome to my world. I straighten up, squaring my shoulders. I have to go. I have a client waiting. Wait, please. He pauses, and I hear Celeste's voice in the background, asking who he's talking to. Can we discuss this over dinner? Sure, Dad. I manage to keep my voice steady. But just you. Friday at 7, Carlo's. If Celeste shows up, I walk. I end the call before he can respond and join Juniper in the gallery. She takes one look at my face and pulls me into a hug. Your dad. I nod against her shoulder. He got the invitation. And now we wait to see if he remembers how to be a father instead of just a husband. Juniper squeezes my hand. For what it's worth, I think you're brave. Standing up to them like this. I don't feel brave. I move to my desk, pulling out her wedding portfolio. I feel like that 14-year-old girl again, watching him choose someone else over and over. But this time you're choosing yourself. She sits across from me, her expression serious. That counts for something. I open the portfolio, but pause before starting our review. June, do you think he'll come? To dinner, I mean. She considers for a moment. I think he'll want to. But Celeste won't let him. I finish. Yeah, that's what I think too. The gallery door chimes again and we turn to business. But my phone sits heavy in my pocket, waiting for a confirmation that probably won't come. Just like every other time I've reached for my father across the chasm Celeste built between us. Friday's dinner reservation feels less like hope and more like proof. One more empty chair to add to my collection. Friday night at Carlo's, I sit alone at a table for two, watching the minutes tick by on my phone. 7:15. 7:30. The waiter's pitying glances sting more than Dad's absence. My water glass is nearly empty when the restaurant door opens. For a moment, hope flutters in my chest, but it's Tamsin, Celeste's friend, walking in with her husband. She spots me and freezes, guilt flashing across her face before she quickly looks away. I'm gathering my things to leave when she approaches my table, wringing her hands. Ilara, I think there's something you should know. It's about your father. And tonight, she glances around nervously. Celeste was at book club yesterday, talking about how she'd made sure Gideon wouldn't come. The world tilts slightly. What do you mean, made sure? Tamsin lowers her voice. She said she'd hidden his phone while he was in the shower, then called his office pretending to be his assistant. Something about an emergency client meeting tonight that couldn't wait. My fingers go numb around my purse strap. She what? She was laughing about it, saying she'd rather die than let him have dinner alone with you. That she'd worked too hard to. Tamsin stops abruptly, color draining from her face. I turn to see what she's looking at. Celeste stands in the doorway, her perfectly painted smile turning glacial as she takes in the scene. Tamsin, darling. Her voice carries across the restaurant. I didn't expect to see you here. Before either of us can respond, she glides over to our table. Ilara, sweetheart, did your father not tell you? He has an important meeting tonight. But I thought I'd stop by to keep you company instead. The lie rolls off her tongue so smoothly, I almost doubt Tamsin's story. Almost. How thoughtful. I manage. But I was just leaving. Oh, but I insist. She slides into the empty chair, Dad's chair. We have so much to discuss about the wedding. Like why my invitation seems to have gotten lost in the mail. Tamsin backs away, mouthing, I'm sorry, before fleeing to her waiting husband. I don't blame her. Celeste's smile hasn't reached her eyes in 15 years. It wasn't lost. I meet her gaze steadily. It was never sent. I see. She signals the waiter. 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio, please. Now, about this childish behavior of yours. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? The words escape before I can stop them. About the phone. The fake emergency. Her smile doesn't waver, but something cold flickers in her eyes. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. You know exactly what I mean. You've been doing this for years, haven't you? Every time Dad tries to see me alone. Your father is a busy man. My father is a puppet. I stand up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. And you're so terrified of losing control that you can't let him spend 2 hours with his own daughter. She reaches for my arm, her manicured nails digging in slightly. Sit down. People are staring. Good. I pull free. Let them stare. Let them see exactly who you are. I am your father's wife. You're nothing but a scared, manipulative woman who couldn't have children of her own, so you made sure no one else could have their father either. The slap echoes through the restaurant. My cheek burns, but satisfaction floods through me as heads turn, as witnesses murmur and point. Finally, her mask has cracked. Thank you, I say quietly, gathering my things, for proving exactly why you're not welcome at my wedding. I leave her there, surrounded by whispers and stares, her carefully constructed facade lying in shards around her like broken glass. In my car, I text Dad. Ask Celeste about my cheek when she gets home. Ask her why everyone at Carlo's saw her hit me. Then ask yourself why you're really missing dinner tonight. The response comes instantly. What are you talking about? I'm in an emergency meeting. I turn off my phone and drive away, leaving him to his comfortable lies and her to her crumbling control. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some wars are won by walking away. The bruise on my cheek fades to yellow by the time Dad finally shows up at the gallery. 3 days of ignored calls, and now he stands among the abstract paintings, looking lost in their chaos of color and shape. You could have called first, I say, not looking up from my laptop. Would you have answered? He moves closer, stops at the edge of my desk. Jesus, Elara. Your face. Makeup helps. I click through another email, pretending my hands aren't shaking. Though I'm sure Celeste told you it never happened. She said you were hysterical, that you knocked into her hand when she tried to calm you down. A laugh escapes me, sharp and bitter. And you believed her. Of course you did. I don't know what to believe anymore. He picks up a framed photo from my desk, me and Juniper at her wedding. Everyone's telling different stories. Have you ever considered asking yourself why your wife needed to sabotage a dinner with your daughter? Before he can answer, the gallery door chimes. Orion walks in, stops short when he sees Dad. His jaw tightens, but he keeps his voice neutral. Mr. Matthews. Interesting timing. Orion. Dad nods stiffly. I was just leaving. Orion sets down a takeout bag. Or just making excuses. I can never tell with you. This is between me and my daughter. Nothing's been between you and your daughter for 15 years. Orion moves to stand beside me, his presence steady and warm. That's the problem. Dad's face reddens. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stand, finally meeting his eyes. You know what today is? He blinks, confused. It's the anniversary of Mom's wedding to Alaric. 8 years ago. You promised to come to the reception, remember? Just for an hour, just to show we could all be civil. I had a migraine. That's what Celeste told everyone. But Tamsin saw you both at the country club that afternoon, perfectly healthy, because heaven forbid you attend your ex-wife's wedding and make your daughter happy. That's not. He stops, looking trapped. It was complicated. It's always complicated with you, Dad. Every game night, every graduation, every milestone, there's always some reason you can't show up. And they all lead back to her. She's my wife. And I'm your daughter. The words echo off the gallery walls. Or I was, before you let her erase me from your life. Silence falls, broken only by the soft hum of the gallery's track lighting. Dad sinks into a chair, suddenly looking every bit his age. I never meant to choose, he says quietly. But you did. Every time. I pick up the wedding photo he'd been looking at. You know who walked Juniper down the aisle that day? Alaric. My stepfather. The man who showed up to every art show, every birthday, every moment that mattered. He chose to be there, even though he didn't have to be. Elara, please. I'm not finished. My voice stays steady, even as tears threaten. You have one last chance to choose, Dad. My wedding. No celeste, no excuses. Just you, being my father for one day. He stands slowly, reaches for me, then lets his hand fall. I don't know if I can. I know. I turn away, back to my desk. That's the saddest part. He lingers by the door, like he wants to say more. But in the end, he leaves without another word, the door chiming softly behind him. Orion wraps his arms around me as I finally let the tears fall. You okay? No. I lean into him, watching through the window as Dad's car pulls away. But I will be. Sometimes letting go hurts less than holding on. The takeout grows cold on my desk as we stand there. surrounded by abstract paintings that suddenly make perfect sense. Beautiful things born from chaos, whole pictures made of broken pieces. A week before the wedding, Mom calls with the news I've been dreading. Your father's selling the house. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. The house, my childhood home, where my height marks still climb the kitchen doorframe. Where my first paintings still hang in what used to be my bedroom. He can't. Celeste's already listed it. Tamsin told me they're showing it tomorrow. My hands shake as I pull up the listing on my phone. There it is, the Victorian with the red door, the garden where Dad taught me to plant sunflowers, the bay window where I used to read for hours. The description calls it a blank canvas ready for new memories. Ilara. Mom's voice softens. Are you there? I have to go. I end the call, grab my keys, and drive across town before I can think better of it. The for sale sign looks wrong in the front yard, like a headstone marking the death of something precious. I park across the street, watching a realtor lead a young couple through the front door, my door. A familiar car pulls up behind me. Juniper. Of course Mom called her. She slides into my passenger seat without a word, just hands me a tissue I didn't know I needed. I was going to tell you, she says quietly. I saw the listing this morning. Did you know they're gutting it? My voice cracks. The listing says major renovation potential. They're erasing everything. Maybe you could buy it. I laugh bitterly. Celeste made sure that wasn't possible. The asking price is double what it's worth. Movement at the house catches my eye. Celeste emerges onto the porch, elegant in cream linen, playing the perfect hostess to the potential buyers. She spots my car and falters for just a moment before her smile returns, wider and sharper. She's doing this on purpose, I whisper. The timing, the price, it's punishment for the wedding invitation. Elle, don't. But I'm already out of the car, crossing the street with purpose. Celeste's smile freezes as I approach. Darling. Her voice carries across the lawn, warning wrapped in sugar. What a lovely surprise. The couple turns, curious. I recognize the woman's hopeful expression. The same one I wore at 14, believing this house could be a fresh start. I should warn you, I say to them, ignoring Celeste's attempt to interrupt. The foundation's unstable. Has been for years. That's not. Celeste starts, but I press on. The basement floods every spring. The wiring in the east wing is original, dangerous, really. And the attic? I meet Celeste's gaze. Well, let's just say some things up there can't be renovated away. The couple exchanges worried glances. Celeste's perfectly manicured nails dig into her palms. Perhaps we should continue the tour inside, she suggests smoothly, but the damage is done. I can see it in their faces. The seed of doubt has been planted. Of course. I smile, sweet as poison. Don't forget to check the kitchen doorframe. The height marks there tell quite a story about family. About promises kept and broken. Ilara. Her voice drops, all pretense gone. Leave. Now. Or what? You'll slap me again? There are witnesses this time. The couple backs away, murmuring excuses. The realtor follows, already on her phone, probably calling other clients to cancel tomorrow's showings. You spiteful little. I learned from the best. I turn to leave, then pause. Oh, and Celeste. The attic? I left something there years ago. A diary. Detailed everything you did, every manipulation, every lie. I wonder what Dad would think if someone found it during the renovation. Her face pales. We both know there's no diary, but the possibility will eat at her, make her question every creak and shadow in that old house. As I walk away, Juniper falls into step beside me. There's no diary, is there? No. I get back in my car, watching Celeste through the rearview mirror as she stands alone on the porch, her perfect world cracking around her. But she'll never be sure. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do, it's what you make them think you might do. 2 days before my wedding, Dad shows up at my apartment unannounced. His hands tremble as he holds out a manila envelope. Celeste found this in the attic. My stomach drops. There was no diary. I'd made that up. But something in his expression tells me she found something worse. What is it? He pulls out a stack of letters, their edges worn soft with age. I recognize Mom's handwriting immediately. Letters she wrote me during our separation. Before the divorce. His voice cracks. Before Celeste. The implications hit me like a physical blow. Letters that could change everything, or destroy what little remains of my family. She's threatening to show them to Mom, I say. It's not a question. He nods, sinking onto my couch. Unless you publicly apologize to her. Invite her to the wedding. Make things right. Make things right. The laugh that escapes me sounds foreign, almost hysterical. Like when she made things right by destroying every photo of Mom in the house. Or when she made things right by convincing you to miss my college graduation. Alara, please. Your mother. These letters could hurt her. Hurt Alaric. So you're here to protect Mom? That's new. His face hardens. I'm trying to protect everyone. No, you're trying to protect yourself. I snatched the letters from his hands. What's really in these, Dad? What are you afraid of? Before he can stop me, I unfold the first one. Mom's familiar script fills the page. Gideon, I know about her. About the affair. I can forgive the betrayal, but lying to Alara. The room spins. You were seeing Celeste before the divorce? Alara, while you and Mom were just taking a break, while you told me everything would be okay. He reaches for the letters, but I back away, reading faster. Each page reveals another lie, another betrayal. Mom had known everything, had offered forgiveness for my sake, and he'd chosen Celeste anyway. How long? My voice sounds distant, hollow. How long were you seeing her before you left us? 6 months. He won't meet my eyes. She understood me. Understood how to manipulate you, you mean? I throw the letters onto the coffee table. Get out. Alara, if you'd just talk to Celeste. Get out. Each word feels like glass in my throat. And tell your wife she can do whatever she wants with those letters. I'm done protecting your lies. He stands slowly, age and guilt weighing heavy on his shoulders. You don't mean that. Think about your mother. Mom survived your betrayal once. She built something beautiful with Alaric. These letters. I gesture at them dismissively. They're just proof she was right to leave you. And what about your wedding? You'd really want me to miss it. The question hangs between us, 15 years of missed moments condensed into one final choice. You've been missing from my life since the day you chose her. I open the door. The empty chair at my wedding will just make it official. After he leaves, I sink to the floor, letters scattered around me like fallen leaves. My phone buzzes, a text from Celeste. Your father told you our terms. You have 24 hours to decide. Another buzz. Family peace comes at a price, darling. Are you ready to pay it? I block her number, then Dad's. With shaking hands, I gather the letters and reach for my phone again. Mom, can you come over? There's something you should know. Sometimes the truth hurts more than lies, but at least it's honest pain. At least it's real. And maybe, just maybe, it's time everyone's truth came to light. The morning of my wedding dawns clear and bright, but I'm not at the venue. Instead, I'm standing in front of my childhood home, watching Tamsin hurry down the front walk, her face pale. I had to tell you, she says, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Celeste's been planning this for weeks. She told Gideon she found a lump, made him promise to take her to the hospital today. She's making him miss your wedding over a lie. My wedding dress hangs in a garment bag at the venue, where Mom and Juniper are probably wondering where I am. But this is my last chance to break Celeste's hold on my father. I stride up the familiar path, my keys still fitting the lock despite everything. Inside, Celeste stands at the foot of the stairs in a silk robe, her perfectly made-up face betraying no surprise at my arrival. Shouldn't you be getting ready for your big day? Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Oh wait, there won't be a father-daughter dance now, will there? Drop the act. My voice is steady, calmer than I feel. Tamsin told me everything. There is no lump, is there? Tamsin should learn to keep her mouth shut. Celeste's facade cracks slightly. But it doesn't matter. Gideon's already left for the hospital. Such a devoted husband, don't you think? Why? The question bursts from me. Why go to such lengths to keep him away? Because you need to understand. She steps closer, her perfume cloying. He's mine now. Has been since before your mother knew. And I won't let you take him back. Take him back. I laugh, the sound echoing in the empty foyer. I don't want him back. I want him to see you, really see you. He sees exactly what he needs to see. She reaches for her phone. Now, shouldn't you be leaving? I need to call Gideon, tell him the news from the doctor. No. I snatch the phone from her hand. You're going to tell him the truth. All of it. Or what? Her smile turns cruel. You'll show him those old letters? Break your mother's heart all over again? Face it, Alara. You've lost. Actually, a voice says from the doorway, she hasn't. We both turn. Dad stands there, still in his suit, car keys dangling from his hand. Behind him, Tamsin gives me a slight nod before slipping away. Gideon. Celeste's voice rises an octave. The hospital. Called them. He steps inside, looking older than I've ever seen him. They have no record of any appointment. Just like they had no record of my emergency client meeting last month. I was protecting you. You were controlling me. He moves to stand beside me. And I let you because it was easier than admitting what I'd done. To Maris. To Alara. To myself. Celeste's composure shatters. Everything I did for us. No. I touch Dad's arm, feeling him trembling. You did it for yourself. And now you've lost everything. She lunges for her phone, but Dad catches her wrist. It's over, Celeste. I've already called a lawyer. The silence that follows feels like a thunderclap. Celeste sinks onto the stairs, her perfect mask finally crumbling completely. The wedding starts in 2 hours, I say quietly. Your choice, Dad. But this time, make it for the right reasons. I leave them there, among the ruins of their carefully constructed lies. Outside, the morning sun feels warmer, somehow cleaner. My phone buzzes, a text from Juniper. Where are you? Everyone's waiting. I take one last look at the house before typing my reply. On my way. And tell Mom to save an extra seat. Just in case. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else's happiness. Sometimes it's about finding your own and letting them watch from the outside. The wedding venue's garden glows in the late afternoon light as I make my final adjustments in the bridal suite. Mom fusses with my veil while Juniper touches up my makeup, neither mentioning the empty chair I'd insisted on keeping in the front row. A knock at the door makes us all freeze. Alaric pokes his head in, his eyes suspiciously bright when he sees me. Ready, sweetheart? Almost. I smooth my dress, catching Mom's reflection in the mirror. Is everyone seated and waiting? He pauses. Including your father. The room goes still. Mom's hands stop adjusting my veil, but she doesn't pull away. Alone? I ask quietly. Alaric nods. Celeste's not here. And from what I hear, she won't be anywhere near him for quite a while. Relief and something else, something lighter, floods through me. But when I turn to Mom, her face is unreadable. Are you okay with this? I ask her. With him being here? She smooths an invisible wrinkle from my dress. Honey, I made peace with your father's choices long ago. That's why I could build something beautiful with Alaric. She glances at her husband, love evident in her smile. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. The ceremony music starts, soft and sweet through the garden. Juniper squeezes my hand before slipping out to take her place. Mom kisses my cheek and follows, leaving me alone with Alaric. Last chance to change your mind about who walks you down the aisle, he says gently. I take his arm, the same arm that supported me through every major moment since I was 14. Not a chance. You earned this spot years ago. The garden path seems to glow as we walk, guests rising on either side. I see Tamsin dabbing her eyes, see Mom beaming from her seat. And there, in the front row, Dad sits alone, looking smaller somehow without Celeste beside him. Our eyes meet briefly as I pass. He nods once, and I notice the envelope on his lap, cream-colored, matching my invitations. I recognize my own handwriting. For after the ceremony. The letter I'd written last night, after everything. Not an olive branch, exactly, but not a burning bridge either. Just truth, finally spoken without anger or revenge clouding it. Orion's face when he sees me makes everything else fade away. This moment, this love, is bigger than old hurts and family drama. As we exchange vows, I feel the weight of the past lifting, replaced by something lighter, freer. At the reception, Dad approaches cautiously, letter in hand. I read it, he says simply. Good. I don't deserve forgiveness. No. I agree, watching Alaric twirl Mom on the dance floor. But maybe we deserve peace. Both of us. He follows my gaze to where Mom and Alaric laugh together, their happiness untainted by the past. I'm filing for divorce, he says quietly. Not because of today, but because I finally see clearly. That's a start. Later, as Orion and I prepare to leave for our honeymoon, I catch one last glimpse of Dad. He's sitting alone at a table, watching the dancers with a thoughtful expression. The empty chair beside him doesn't look lonely anymore. It looks like possibility. Juniper catches my eye as we head for the exit. Happy ending? She asks. I think about the letter, about Dad's empty chair beside him, about Mom and Alaric's love that grew from broken pieces. Not an ending, I say. Just a better beginning. Sometimes revenge isn't about making others hurt the way you hurt. Sometimes it's about breaking free of the pain altogether, about choosing joy instead of bitterness. And sometimes, if you're lucky, others find their way out of the darkness too, following the light you've left behind.
I stared at the wedding invitation in my hand, fingers trembling slightly as I deliberately skipped over one name on the guest list. My stepmother's name, Astrid. Even thinking it left a bitter taste in my mouth. My name is Kala, And I never thought I'd be the kind of person to exclude family from my wedding. But then again, I never thought I'd have a stepmother who'd spend 10 years systematically destroying my relationship with my father either. Are you sure about this? Owen, my fiancé, asked from across our kitchen table. He wasn't judging, just concerned. The morning light caught his worried expression as he sipped his coffee. If I invite her, she'll find a way to make it about her, I said, setting down my pen. Remember my college graduation? Owen winced. He'd been there when Astrid had thrown her perfectly timed fainting spell right as I was walking across the stage. My dad had missed seeing me get my diploma because he was too busy rushing her to the emergency room. Turned out she was just dehydrated. Your dad's going to be upset, Owen said carefully. I laughed, but there wasn't any humor in it. Dad's been upset with me since I was 17. That's when Astrid convinced him I was acting out because I asked why she'd thrown away the birthday cards I'd made him. The memory hit harder than I expected. I could still see those cards in the recycling bin, the ones I'd spent hours making every year since I was 6. When I confronted her, Astrid had smiled that saccharine smile of hers and said, "Oh, sweetie, your father needs to declutter his office. We can't keep every little scribble forever." My phone buzzed, a text from my stepsister Tessa. "Hey sis, Mom wants to know if you're still coming for dinner tonight. She's making your favorite lasagna." I smiled, feeling some of the tension ease. My mom Laurel and her husband Vincent had created the warm, supportive home I'd always craved. Tessa, Vincent's daughter, had become the sister I never had. The contrast between my two families couldn't be starker. "You should go," Owen said, reading my expression. "Clear your head. We can finish the invitations tomorrow." I nodded, but my eyes drifted back to the list. There, near the top, was my father's name alone. The empty space next to it felt like a declaration of war. My phone rang, and my stomach dropped when I saw the caller ID. Dad. I let it go to voicemail, something I'd been doing more frequently lately. It wasn't always like this. Before Astrid, Dad and I had been close. He'd taught me to ride a bike, helped with my science projects, cheered at my soccer games. But that man felt like a character in someone else's story now. The voicemail notification popped up, and against my better judgment, I played it. "Calla, honey," my father's voice came through, sounding tired. "Astrid mentioned she saw you at the mall yesterday, but you didn't stop to say hello. She's really hurt. I thought we'd raised you better than that." I clicked it off, my hands shaking again, this time with anger. I hadn't been to the mall in weeks. It was another of Astrid's little lies, designed to drive the wedge between us deeper. "That's it," I said, picking up my pen again. In one decisive motion, I crossed my father's name off the list too. They can spend my wedding day together, just like they've spent every other important day of my life for the past decade. Owen reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Whatever you decide, I'm with you." I squeezed back, grateful for his support, but my mind was already racing ahead. This wasn't just about the wedding anymore. After years of manipulation and emotional abuse, maybe it was time for Astrid to learn that karma has a way of catching up with people. And I had a feeling she wouldn't like the RSVP life was about to send her way. The lasagna at Mom's house smelled amazing, but my stomach was in knots. Tessa sat across from me at the kitchen island, watching me push food around my plate while Mom and Vincent cleaned up dinner dishes. "Spill it," Tessa said, pointing her fork at me. "You've barely touched Mom's lasagna, and it's your favorite. What happened?" I set my fork down. I crossed Dad off the wedding invitation list. The clatter of dishes in the sink stopped. Mom turned around slowly, her hands still soapy. "You did what?" "After I decided not to invite Astrid, it just happened." I pulled out my phone and played Dad's voicemail for them. The kitchen fell silent, except for his accusations echoing off the tiles. Vincent dried his hands and leaned against the counter. "That woman's got quite an imagination, doesn't she? Considering you were here helping me fix the deck all day yesterday." "That's the thing," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "She knows exactly what she's doing. Remember when I was 19 and Dad promised to help me buy my first car?" Tessa nodded. "The one he backed out of at the last minute?" "Yeah." I found out later that Astrid had convinced him I was too irresponsible because I missed one of her dinner parties. I was working a double shift at the hospital. She knew my schedule. Mom's face darkened. "That reminds me of your high school graduation. When's she Convinced Dad I was embarrassed by them because I didn't save them front row seats? I laughed bitterly. I did save them seats. She moved the reserve signs. The doorbell rang, making us all jump. Vincent went to answer it, and my heart stopped when I heard a familiar voice in the hallway. Is Kala here? I really need to speak with her. Dad. I shot a panicked look at Tessa, who immediately stood up. I got this, she whispered, heading toward the front door. I could hear her talking to him, her voice firm but polite. Graham, this isn't a good time. Maybe you could call first next time. She's my daughter, Tessa. I have a right. No, you have a responsibility. Tessa cut in, her voice sharp. One you've been neglecting for years. I crept closer to listen, Mom right behind me. That's not fair, Dad protested. I've always provided for her. Financially, sure. But when's the last time you stood up for her? When's the last time you chose her? The silence that followed was deafening. Astrid says, he started. Astrid says, Tessa mimicked. Do you ever wonder why you only hear about Kala through Astrid? Why you never know what's actually going on in your daughter's life anymore? I heard Dad sigh. I just want to talk to her about the wedding. Astrid's devastated about being excluded. Of course she is, I said, stepping into view. My voice was steadier than I felt. Because now she can't make it about herself. Dad's face fell when he saw me. He looked older than I remembered. More gray in his hair, more lines around his eyes. Honey, please. We can work this out. Like we worked out the graduation seating? Or the birthday cards? Or the car? Each example hit him like a physical blow. Or maybe like yesterday, when I supposedly snubbed Astrid at the mall? She wouldn't lie about. I was here all day. Vincent called from behind me, helping me rebuild the deck. Want to see the pictures? Dad's certainty wavered. I could see it in his eyes, that moment of doubt. But then his phone buzzed, and I knew without looking who it was. I should go, he said, already backing away. But Kala, please reconsider. She's family. No, I said quietly. She's your wife. There's a difference. After he left, I stood in the hallway shaking. Mom wrapped her arms around me, and Tessa joined the hug. You okay? Tessa asked. I nodded slowly. Actually, I am. But I think it's time to show Dad exactly who he chose to believe all these years. What do you mean? Mom asked. I smiled, thinking of Astrid's friend Marla, who did quite a lot to say at last month's charity gala after one too many glasses of wine. Let's just say karma's about to get an assist. The country club's annual charity gala was in full swing when I spotted Marla at the bar, already 3 martinis deep. Perfect timing. I smoothed my dress and made my way over, careful to appear casual. Gaya. Marla's face lit up with alcohol-induced warmth. I haven't seen you since. Oh, the incident with your father's investment. I kept my expression neutral, though my heart rate picked up. Investment? Oh dear, Marla giggled, waving the bartender over. I probably shouldn't. Astrid would be furious. But you know about the money, right? The college fund. My college fund. Dad had told me it had been depleted by market crashes. I'd taken out student loans instead, working double shifts to make ends meet. Tell me more, I said, sliding onto the bar stool next to her. 15 minutes later, I was gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white, recording every slurred word as Marla detailed how Astrid had convinced my father to reinvest my college fund into her brother's business venture, the one that conveniently failed 6 months later. The poor man was devastated, Marla hiccuped, but Astrid assured him you'd never find out. She's always been good at managing things. My phone buzzed with a text from Owen. You okay? Been a while. I texted back quickly, getting everything. Stay with Tessa. More happened after that, you know. Marla continued, oblivious to my recording. The inheritance from your grandmother. I froze. What inheritance? Oh, sweetie. Marla's face fell into exaggerated sympathy. Your father's mother left you quite a bit. But Astrid convinced Graham you weren't mature enough yet. They've been managing it for you. The room spun slightly. I remembered Grandma Rose's funeral 3 years ago. How Astrid had handled all the arrangements, keeping me busy with meaningless tasks. How convenient. Kaya. A sharp voice cut through my thoughts. I looked up to see Astrid herself approaching, her designer dress and perfect makeup a stark contrast to Marla's increasingly disheveled state. What a surprise to see you here. I stood up slowly, tucking my phone away. Just catching up with Marla. She's been informative. Astrid's eyes darted between us, noting Marla's drunken state. Something like fear flickered across her face. Marla, dear, I think you've had enough for one evening. But I was just telling Kala about the money. Marla, Astrid's voice cracked like a whip. I believe your husband is looking for you. I smiled, feeling a cold satisfaction as Astrid's perfectly maintained facade cracked further. Don't worry, stepmom. We were just discussing family matters. You know, investments, inheritances. The usual. The color drained from Astrid's face. Whatever Marla said, she's drunk. You can't possibly what? Wonder why my college fund mysteriously vanished. Or why I never knew about Grandma Rose's inheritance. My voice was steady, but my hands shook. Or maybe I can't possibly understand why you've spent the last decade systematically destroying every financial safety net I had. You don't understand, Astrid hissed, grabbing my arm. Your father and I let go. Each word was ice. Or the recording of my entire conversation with Marla goes straight to Dad's phone. Right now. She released me like I'd burned her. Around us, other guests were starting to stare. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. It would destroy your father. No, I said loud enough for nearby guests to hear. You've been doing that just fine on your own. But here's what's going to happen next. You're going to tell him everything, or I will. And trust me, my version will come with proof. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Astrid? Now you know why you're not invited to the wedding. I learned from the best. I don't want anyone stealing focus from the main event. As I walked away, I heard the distinct sound of glass shattering behind me. I didn't turn around. My phone was already buzzing with texts from Owen and Tessa, asking if I got what I needed. Oh yes, I typed back. And so much more. Time for phase 2. The truth about Astrid was finally coming out. But somehow, I had a feeling this was just the beginning of the storm. The recording from the gala sat on my phone like a loaded gun. 3 days had passed, and I still hadn't sent it to Dad. Every time my finger hovered over the send button, I remembered his face at my high school graduation. Beaming with pride before Astrid whispered something in his ear and led him away. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Dad standing there alone. My heart jumped into my throat. I opened the door. Did Astrid tell you? Tell me what? He looked exhausted, his suit wrinkled like he'd slept in it. I came because I found something in my office last night. He pulled out a familiar manila envelope. My college acceptance letters. The ones Astrid had told him I'd thrown away in a tantrum. I was cleaning out the filing cabinet, he said, his voice rough. These were hidden behind the tax records. Along with these, he handed me a stack of birthday cards. My birthday cards, the ones I'd thought were thrown away years ago. They were rubber-banded together, stuffed in the back of the cabinet where I'd never think to look. Dad, please, he cut me off. Let me finish. I also found documentation about your grandmother's inheritance. My fingers tightened on the doorframe. And I need to know what else I've missed. His eyes met mine, pleading. What else has she? He stopped, swallowing hard. What else have I let happen? I pulled out my phone, pulled up the recording. You might want to sit down for this. We moved to the kitchen. Owen, who'd been quietly working in the home office, appeared with coffee and then tactfully disappeared again. I played the recording. Dad's face grew paler with each revelation. When Marla's slurred voice detailed how Astrid had orchestrated the failed investment of my college fund. His coffee cup clattered against the saucer. I trusted her, he whispered. She said your mother was poisoning you against us, that we needed to protect the family assets. The family assets? My laugh was bitter. Dad, I worked 60-hour weeks to pay for college. I ate ramen for dinner for 3 years. Meanwhile, Astrid was redecorating the house with my inheritance. I'll make it right, he said quickly. I'll transfer the money back. It's not about the money. The words exploded out of me. It's about you believing her over me. Every single time. It's about watching you choose her lies over your own daughter's truth for 10 years. His phone buzzed, Astrid's ringtone. He stared at it, then declined the call. She knows I found the documents, he said quietly. She's been calling all morning, trying to explain. And I told her I needed time to think. He ran a hand through his gray hair. The way she reacted, it was like a switch flipped. She started crying, saying I was abandoning her just like everyone else, that she'd done everything for our family. That's her playbook, Dad. Create a crisis, make herself the victim, wait for you to comfort her, and forget about everything else. His phone buzzed again, a text this time. I caught a glimpse of the message. If you choose her over me, I'll make sure you regret it. Dad's hands shook as he read it. I've been such a fool. Yes, I said simply. You have. He looked up at me, eyes wet. Can you ever forgive me? I stood up, gathering the coffee cups. That depends. On what? On what you do next. I placed the cups in the sink, keeping my back to him. Because Astrid's not going to stop. She's going to escalate. And I need to know if you're finally ready to stand up to her, or if you're going to cave the moment she turns on the waterworks. His phone buzzed again. And again. And again. I should go, he said, standing. I need to think. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. As he reached the door, he turned back. Calla? Thank you for showing me the truth. After he left, Owen emerged from the office and wrapped his arms around me. You okay? I leaned into him, watching Dad's car pull away through the window. Ask me tomorrow. Something tells me this is just the calm before the storm. The invitation to Astrid's birthday dinner arrived 3 days after Dad's visit. Gold embossed cardstock, because of course it was. The note inside read, "Family should stick together. Let's start fresh. Love, Dad." Dad's handwriting, but Astrid's words. I could practically hear her dictating them. You don't have to go, Owen said, watching me stare at the invitation. Actually, I do. I pulled out my phone, showing him the text from Marla. Astrid's telling everyone you're having a breakdown. Says you're making up stories about her. Better show up and prove her wrong. The restaurant was exactly Astrid's style. Expensive, pretentious, and designed to make everyone else feel inadequate. I arrived 10 minutes late, wearing the red dress she'd once called a bit cheap-looking. Petty? Maybe. But it felt like armor. Darling, Astrid's voice carried across the private dining room. She air-kissed my cheeks, her fingers digging into my arms. We were starting to worry. The table was full of her friends, all perfectly coiffed, all watching our interaction like vultures. Dad sat at the head of the table, managing a weak smile. Happy birthday, I said, handing her a small wrapped package. I hope you like it. She opened it right there, something she'd never done with my gifts before. Inside was a framed photo of Dad and me from my high school graduation, taken before she'd pulled him away. Her smile froze. How thoughtful, she said, setting it aside without another glance. Though perhaps a bit self-centered to give someone a photo they're not even in. A few of her friends tittered. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Oh, I thought you'd appreciate it, I said sweetly. Since you worked so hard to recreate that moment at every major event in my life. The tittering stopped. Astrid's face hardened for a split second before smoothing into concerned sympathy. Graham, she said, touching Dad's arm. This is exactly what I was telling you about. These paranoid accusations. You mean like the paranoid accusation that I threw away my college acceptance letters? I pulled out my phone. The ones Dad found hidden in your filing cabinet? The room went silent. One of Astrid's friends, not Marla, choked on her wine. Or maybe we should discuss my grandmother's inheritance? I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. The one you've been managing for me? Caleb, Dad warned, but his voice lacked conviction. Astrid stood up, tears gathering in her eyes. I can't believe you'd ruin my birthday with these horrible lies. Graham, please. Show them the recording, Dad said suddenly. Everyone turned to stare at him. Astrid's face went white. What recording? She whispered. From the gala, Dad said, standing too. The one where Marla explained exactly how you manipulated our daughter's finances. Astrid's mask cracked completely. She grabbed my gift and hurled it across the room. The frame shattered against the wall. You ungrateful little bitch, she hissed. Everything I did was to protect this family from you. Your constant demands, your attention-seeking. Astrid, Dad's voice cut through her tirade. That's enough. But she was beyond stopping. You think you've won? You think exposing me changes anything? I've been managing your father for 10 years. He always chooses me. Always. She turned to Dad, tears flowing freely now. Graham, darling, you know how she twists things. Remember how she tried to come between us before? How she... Stop. Dad's voice was quiet but firm. Just... stop. He walked over to the broken frame and picked up the photo, carefully brushing off the glass. Without another word, he walked out. Astrid stared after him, then turned to me with pure hatred in her eyes. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I stood up, addressing her stunned friends. Check your phones. I just sent you all the recording. Happy birthday, Astrid. As I walked out, I heard the simultaneous ping of multiple phones, followed by Astrid's scream of rage. But I didn't look back. Outside, Dad was waiting by my car. I'm sorry, he said, holding out the photo. For everything. I took the photo but couldn't meet his eyes. Sorry isn't enough anymore, Dad. You need to decide, really decide, who you're going to believe from now on. He nodded slowly. I know. And I think I finally do. 2 weeks after Astrid's birthday meltdown, I found myself staring at my phone, reading a series of increasingly frantic texts from Dad. Please call me. Astrid's threatening to expose company irregularities. She says she has proof I mishandled client funds. I could lose everything. My hands shook as I dialed his number. He answered on the first ring. She's lying, I said immediately. No. His voice was hollow. She's not. Years ago, I made some questionable decisions. She helped cover them up. Said she was protecting our family. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. What kind of decisions? The kind that could land me in prison. He laughed, a broken sound. She kept records of everything. Insurance, she called it. I sank onto my couch. So that's how she controlled you all these years. Kala, she's demanding I make a public statement. Say you fabricated everything about her, that you're unstable, trying to destroy our family because you never accepted the divorce. My throat closed up. And if you don't, she'll turn over the documents to the SEC. The silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, I asked, what are you going to do? What choice do I have? His voice cracked. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. The line went dead. An hour later, my phone exploded with notifications. Dad's statement was everywhere, shared across social media by Astrid's friends. Each word felt like a physical blow. My daughter's recent accusations against my wife stem from deep-seated emotional issues and inability to accept our blended family. The allegations are completely false, motivated by jealousy and resentment. We hope she gets the help she needs. Owen found me still on the couch, staring at my phone.
Jesús, calla.
Have you seen? Yeah. My voice sounded distant, even to myself. I've seen. We have proof she's lying. The recording, the documents. Doesn't matter. I showed him the latest text from Dad. Please understand. I had no choice. Actually, a new voice said, he did. I looked up to see Tessa in my doorway, holding a manila envelope. Remember when you told me about Astrid's insurance? I had a friend at the SEC look into your dad's company records. She pulled out a stack of papers. Turns out Astrid's been embezzling money for years. Small amounts well hidden. She used your dad's passwords, made it look like his transactions. The proof she has against him? She created it. But my mind raced. That means your dad just publicly destroyed you to protect himself from crimes he didn't even commit. Tessa's voice was gentle but firm. The question is, what are you going to do about it? My phone buzzed again. A text from Astrid. See? He'll always choose me. Back off now, or there's more where that came from. I stared at the message, feeling something inside me finally break. All these years, I'd wanted revenge on Astrid while trying to salvage my relationship with Dad. But maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe they both needed to face the consequences of their choices. Tessa, I said slowly, can your SEC friend prove it was Astrid? Already has. Just waiting for someone to file a formal complaint. Owen sat beside me, taking my hand. Are you sure? This would destroy them both. They destroyed themselves. I squeezed his hand, then let go, reaching for the papers. Dad had a choice. He chose to sacrifice me instead of standing up to her. Again. And now, I looked at the evidence in my hands. Proof of years of financial fraud, all leading back to Astrid. My father's public betrayal still burned on my phone screen. Sometimes I realized the worst wounds come from the people who are supposed to love us most. Now, I said, I choose myself. I picked up my phone to make the call that would change everything. As it rang, I received one final text from Dad. I hope someday you'll understand. I already do, I whispered as the SEC officer answered. That's the problem. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I was in the bridal suite with Tessa and Mom when Marla burst in, still wearing her hospital scrubs. You need to see this, she said, thrusting her phone at me. A text from Astrid, at Memorial Hospital. Emergency surgery. Graham needs to be here. His daughter will understand, she always does. My hands clenched around the phone. When did she send this? An hour ago. But Kala. Marla's face was grim. I just finished my shift in the ER. She's not there. She never was. The room went silent. 10 years of manipulations, lies, and stolen moments crystallized into this final attempt to ruin my wedding day. Dad's not coming, is he? My voice sounded hollow. Mom stepped forward, but I held up my hand. No, it's okay. I already asked Vincent to walk me down the aisle. I thought maybe. My phone buzzed, a text from Dad. At hospital with Astrid. Surgery complications. I'm so sorry. Before I could respond, another message came through. This one from Astrid. Karma's funny, isn't it? Enjoy your special day. Alone. Something inside me snapped. Tessa, drive me to their house. Kala, the ceremony starts in 2 hours. Exactly. Time for one last conversation. 20 minutes later, still in my wedding dress, I stood on their doorstep. Dad opened the door, his face draining of color. You're supposed to be at the hospital, I said quietly. Astrid needed to come home for something. Stop lying. I pushed past him into the foyer. Astrid stood at the top of the stairs, perfectly healthy, her face twisting with rage when she saw me. How dare you come here? How dare I? My laugh echoed off the walls. You faked a medical emergency to keep my father from my wedding. But you couldn't even commit to the lie, could you? Had to come home to watch your handiwork unfold. Graham, Astrid called, her voice trembling. She's having another episode. The SEC investigation results came back yesterday. I cut in. Dad stiffened. Want to know what they found, Dad? All those financial crimes you thought you committed? The ones Astrid was protecting you from? It was her. All of it. He won't believe you, Astrid snapped. He never does. Show him, Tessa said from behind me. Show him the proof. I pulled out my phone, pulled up the SEC findings. Dad's hands shook as he read. You. He looked up at Astrid. You did this? All of it. I did it for us. She descended the stairs, reaching for him. Everything I did was to keep our family together. By stealing from my company? By blackmailing me into denouncing my own daughter. She was trying to come between us. She always has. No, I said softly. You did that all on your own. Astrid's mask finally cracked completely. You ungrateful little bitch. I gave you a family. I already had a family. I turned to Dad. And now you have a choice. Real surgery or not, Astrid will always have an emergency on my wedding day. She'll always need you more. She'll always make you choose. Graham, please, Astrid begged. Don't let her manipulate you like this. Dad looked between us. 10 years of lies finally unraveling before his eyes. I think, he said slowly, I'm done choosing. He walked to the door, then turned back. Gaia? Would your offer to walk you down the aisle still stand? Astrid screamed in rage, but the sound barely registered. I looked at my father, really looked at him, and saw something I hadn't seen in years, clarity. No, I said gently. Vincent is walking me down the aisle. He's earned that right. But there's an empty seat in the front row, if you'd like to actually see your daughter get married. Dad nodded, tears in his eyes. I'd like that very much. As we left, Astrid's threats and screams fading behind us, I felt lighter than I had in years. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about finally breaking free. Vincent's arm was steady as he walked me down the aisle. Owen waited at the altar, beaming, and for a moment, everything else faded away. Then I caught a glimpse of Dad in the front row, sitting alone, and felt an unexpected twinge of something. Not regret exactly, more like acceptance. The ceremony passed in a blur of vows and rings and kisses. At the reception, Tessa clinked her glass for the maid of honor speech. "When I first met Calla," she said, grinning at me, "I thought no one could possibly be as perfect as my dad claimed his new stepdaughter was. Turns out, he wasn't exaggerating." Laughter rippled through the crowd. I caught Vincent's eye across the table, saw him wipe away a tear. "But what makes Calla special isn't her perfection," Tessa continued. "It's her ability to choose love over bitterness, growth over revenge, even when the easier path was right there." Mom squeezed my hand under the table. We both knew what Tessa meant. The SEC investigation into Astrid was ongoing, but I declined to press additional charges. Some might call it mercy, but really it was freedom. Freedom from letting her actions dictate my choices anymore. During the father-daughter dance, I swayed with Vincent to "What a Wonderful World." Over his shoulder, I saw Dad slip outside to the garden. After the song ended, I found him sitting on a bench, holding an envelope. "I thought about waiting to give you this," he said, standing as I approached. "But I need you to know. I need to say, Dad, please." He held out the envelope. "Read it when you're ready, when it won't cast a shadow over today." I took it, tucking it into a fold of my dress. "The SEC investigator called yesterday." "I know." He smiled sadly. "I've been cooperating fully. The company will survive, but my reputation." He shrugged. "Maybe it's time for retirement anyway." "And Astrid." "Divorce papers were served this morning." He looked older, but somehow lighter. 10 years of choices I can't take back. But I can make better ones now. Inside, the DJ called for all couples to join the dance floor. Owen appeared in the doorway, his bow tie slightly crooked. "That's my cue," I said. Dad nodded. "Calla? Thank you for my seat today." "I know I didn't deserve it." "No, I agreed. You didn't. But family is complicated, isn't it?" Later that night, in our hotel room, I finally opened Dad's letter while Owen was in the shower. Inside were two things: a check for the exact amount of my grandmother's inheritance, with interest, and a single page in Dad's handwriting. "My dearest daughter, I spent 10 years trying to keep my family together by letting someone tear it apart. I convinced myself I was protecting you by hurting you. The truth is, I was protecting myself from having to make hard choices. You made those choices instead. You chose integrity over comfort, truth over peace, growth over bitterness. You became everything I should have been. The check enclosed is yours by right, but it's not an apology. Money can't fix what I broke. This letter isn't an apology either. Some things are beyond simple apologies. Instead, it's a promise. To be better. To choose better. To earn back, day by day, the right to be part of your life. Not as the father who gave you away today, but as the father who might someday deserve to be chosen back. All my love, Dad." I folded the letter carefully, tucking it back into its envelope. Through the window, I could see the garden where we talked earlier. The bench was empty now, but something had shifted in that space between us. Not forgiveness exactly, that would take time, but possibility, and sometimes that's enough. Owen emerged from the bathroom, hair damp. "Everything okay?" I smiled, setting the letter aside. "Yeah, I think it finally is." The next morning, we'd leave for our honeymoon. Dad would face the consequences of his choices. Astrid would face hers. But tonight, surrounded by the family I'd chosen and the love I'd built, I realized that the best revenge wasn't in destroying what had hurt me. It was in growing beyond it. The kitchen timer chimed just as I finished arranging the last of the roasted potatoes around the perfectly cooked prime rib. Everything had to be perfect for tonight. After all, it's not every day you meet the woman who's stolen your only child's heart. My name is Maggie, and after 20 years of being a widow, my son Ethan is all I have. When he called to tell me he was engaged, I felt that familiar mix of joy and loss that comes with watching your child build their own life. But I was determined to welcome his fiancée with open arms. "Mom, you really didn't have to go all out," Ethan said, walking into the kitchen. He looked thinner than I remembered, his usually filled-out frame somehow diminished in his dress shirt. Nonsense. First impressions matter, I replied, adjusting the centerpiece on my dining room table. How's Chloe feeling about tonight? She's excited. His hesitation made me look up. Maybe we should have mentioned. The doorbell cut him off. Ethan's face went pale, and that should have been my first warning sign. Chloe Bennett was striking in person, tall, willowy, with sharp features and even sharper eyes. She wore a flowing dress made from what looked like sustainable fabric, and her smile didn't quite reach her eyes as she hugged me. "It's wonderful to finally meet you, Dr. Harlow," she said, her voice carrying a hint of judgment I couldn't quite place. "Please, call me Maggie." I gestured toward the dining room. "I hope you're hungry. I've prepared my specialty." That's when everything went sideways. Chloe stopped dead in her tracks, staring at the spread on the table. Her face transformed from polite interest to absolute horror. "Is that meat?" "Mom's prime rib," Ethan said weakly. "It's her signature dish." "You didn't tell her?" Chloe's voice rose sharply. "Ethan, how could you let your mother prepare a dead animal without warning her that I'm vegan?" The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. I watched my son shrink into himself, something I hadn't seen since he was a teenager. I thought. You thought what? Chloe's eyes narrowed. That I'd compromise my principles? That I'd participate in this carnival of cruelty. "I'm so sorry," I started. I had no idea. "I can quickly prepare something else." "No." Chloe's hand shot up, stopping me mid-sentence. This is exactly what I was afraid of. This complete disregard for ethical choices. "Do you have any idea how many sentient beings suffered for this meal?" I've been a doctor for 30 years. I've handled emergency room crises, delivered difficult news to patients, and dealt with every kind of personality imaginable. But something about the way this young woman was speaking to me in my own home made my blood boil. "Chloe, please," Ethan pleaded. "Mom didn't know." "And whose fault is that?" She turned on him, her voice dripping with disappointment. "I thought you were committed to our lifestyle choices. Or was that just another lie?" I watched my son's face crumple, and something protective stirred in my chest. Before I could speak, Chloe was already gathering her things. "I can't be here. This is violence on a plate. Call me when you're ready to take our relationship seriously, Ethan." She stormed out, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. Ethan stood there, looking lost. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have told you." "Sweetheart," I said softly, "is this what you want?" He didn't answer immediately, and that silence spoke volumes. Instead, he helped me clear the table, his movements mechanical, avoiding my eyes. As I wrapped up the untouched prime rib later that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that this disastrous dinner was just the beginning. My son was changing before my eyes, and not in a good way. The question was, what was I going to do about it? My sister Linda's words from last week echoed in my mind. Sometimes love means watching people make their own mistakes. But as I looked at the family photos on my wall, showing a happier, healthier Ethan, I wondered if there was a limit to that wisdom. 6 months flew by, and suddenly I found myself standing in an eco-friendly wedding venue that smelled strongly of patchouli and hemp. Everything was draped in organic cotton and bamboo fabrics, with potted plants serving as centerpieces. It would have been beautiful if it hadn't felt so aggressively pointed. I adjusted my recycled polyester dress, a requirement from the bride, and watched my son from across the room. Ethan was talking to some of Chloe's friends, his suit hanging looser than when he'd bought it 3 months ago. The shadows under his eyes weren't hidden by his forced smile. "Well, this is different," Linda whispered, sidling up next to me with her husband, Frank. "I've never seen quinoa served 7 different ways before." "At least the champagne's real," Frank muttered, taking a sip. "Though I'm pretty sure someone's going to lecture me about the ethics of yeast cultivation any minute now." I should have laughed, but I couldn't take my eyes off Ethan. He'd always been athletic, solid, like his father. Now his cheekbones were too sharp, his movements slightly sluggish. When did he start looking so fragile? "Have you tried talking to him?" Linda asked, following my gaze. Every time I bring up his health, he gets defensive. Says he's never felt better. I watched as Chloe appeared beside him, her wedding dress made of raw silk and decorated with preserved flowers. She wrapped her arm around his waist, her fingers digging into his side like she was marking her territory. Ladies and gentlemen, the wedding coordinator announced, please take your seats for the reception dinner. The menu cards at our table listed items I could barely pronounce. Frank stared at his plate of mushroom-based fish with the expression of a man facing execution. What exactly am I looking at? He whispered. It's seafood without the sea or the food, Linda replied, poking at something that was supposedly a crab cake but looked more like wet cardboard. Across the room, Chloe was holding court with her activist friends, gesturing animatedly while Ethan sat quietly beside her. She hadn't touched her food, but she kept glancing at his plate, monitoring each bite he took. Remember when he used to inhale those burgers at our Sunday barbecues? Linda's voice was soft with concern. Before I could respond, Chloe clinked her glass. Everyone, I'd like to make a toast. She stood, commanding attention. Today isn't just about love, it's about transformation. When I met Ethan, he was lost in the fog of societal conditioning, but look at him now. She beamed down at my son. He's embraced a cruelty-free lifestyle, proving that love can open our eyes to truth. The way she said truth made my skin crawl. This wasn't a wedding speech, it was a recruitment pitch. Ethan stood to kiss her, but swayed slightly. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Dr. Kevin Simmons, my colleague who'd come as my +1, leaned over. Maggie, he murmured, how long has he been showing signs of anemia? You noticed too? The pallor, the dizziness. Has he had his B12 levels checked recently? Before I could answer, there was a commotion at the head table. Ethan had knocked over his water glass, his hands shaking as he tried to clean it up. Chloe's face flashed with something that looked like anger before smoothing into concerned wife mode. Sweetheart, you're just tired from all the excitement, she said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. We should have done more juice cleansing to prepare for today. I gripped my napkin under the table, watching my son apologize repeatedly for something that wasn't his fault. The Ethan I knew would have laughed it off, made a joke. This Ethan looked terrified of disappointing his new wife. You need to do something, Linda whispered urgently. I know, I replied, watching Chloe dab at Ethan's shirt with aggressive efficiency. But if I push too hard, I'll lose him completely. As if sensing my thoughts, Chloe looked up and met my eyes across the room. Her smile was pure ice as she placed a possessive hand on the back of Ethan's neck. The message was clear, he's mine now. I smiled back, letting her see nothing but a proud mother-in-law. But inside, something hardened. This wasn't just about different lifestyle choices anymore. This was about my son's life, and I was done playing nice. After 3 weeks of watching Ethan's Instagram fill with photos of green smoothies and hollow smiles, I couldn't take it anymore. I sat in my office at the hospital, staring at my phone, knowing this call could either help my son or push him further away. Hello, Dr. Harlow. Chloe's voice was honey-sweet, but I could hear the edge beneath it. What a surprise. Chloe, I'm calling because I'm worried about Ethan. I kept my tone professional, the same one I use with difficult patients. His appearance at the wedding. Oh, you mean how amazing he looked? The toxins just melting away. I gripped my desk, steadying myself. I mean the visible symptoms of malnutrition. As a medical professional. With all due respect, she cut in, your medical degree comes from an institution built on outdated, carnist propaganda. Ethan's never been healthier. He nearly fainted at his own wedding. Because he was cleansing his system. The body purges toxins in waves. He's losing muscle mass, I interrupted. His color is poor, and his hands were shaking. These are classic signs of protein and B12 deficiency. The honey disappeared from her voice. I see what this is. You can't stand that he's finally broken free from your influence. That he's making his own choices. His own choices? I couldn't help but laugh. When was the last time he made a choice you didn't approve of? Silence crackled over the line. When Chloe spoke again, her voice was eerily calm. I'm going to pretend this conversation never happened. For Ethan's sake. But let me be clear, your son is a grown man who chose this lifestyle. Who chose me. If you can't respect that, you'll lose him completely. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Ask yourself this: when was the last time he called you without me prompting him? My blood ran cold. She was right. Every recent call had started with, "Chloe thought I should check in. He needs proper nutrition. I tried one last time. At least let him take supplements." Supplements are processed in labs that test on animals. We get everything we need from plants, just like nature intended. Her voice hardened. This conversation is over. Don't call again unless you're ready to be supportive of our choices. The line went dead. I sat there, trembling with anger and fear, when a knock at my door made me jump. Rough call? Dr. Kevin Simmons stood in the doorway, concern etched on his face. That obvious? You look like you just lost a patient. He closed the door and sat down. Want to talk about it? I found myself spilling everything: the wedding, Ethan's deteriorating health, Chloe's manipulation. Kevin listened intently, his frown deepening. "The symptoms you're describing are serious," he said finally. "Without proper supplementation, a restrictive vegan diet can." I know. I rubbed my temples. But she's got him convinced that supplements are evil and quinoa will solve everything. He won't even listen to me anymore. "Sometimes people have to hit bottom before they'll accept help," Kevin said gently. "He's my son. I can't just wait for him to collapse." "No, but pushing too hard might make things worse. She's already using your concern to drive a wedge between you." I stood up, pacing my office. "You didn't see him at the wedding. The way she watches everything he eats, how he looks to her for permission to speak. This isn't just about diet anymore. She's isolating him." Classic signs of controlling behavior, Kevin agreed. But confronting her directly clearly isn't working. I stopped at my window, watching patients and families in the parking lot below. Somewhere out there, my son was getting weaker while his wife convinced him it was strength. "I need to document everything," I said finally. "Every symptom, every incident. If he ends up in the hospital." "When," Kevin corrected quietly. "At this rate, it's when, not if." I turned to face him, my decision crystallizing. "Then I need to be ready. Because when that happens, she won't be able to spin it away with talk about toxins and cleansing." "Just be careful," Kevin warned. "People like Chloe can be dangerous when they feel threatened." "So can mothers protecting their children," I replied, picking up my phone to text Linda. I needed allies, and I needed a plan. Because Chloe was right about one thing: this was war. And I wasn't going to lose my son without a fight. The knock on my door came just after midnight. I'd been reviewing patient files, trying to distract myself from worry, when I heard it. 3 soft, hesitant taps that made my heart stop. Ethan stood on my porch, hunched against the rain. In the porch light, I could see angry red scratches across his forearm. His shirt was torn at the collar. "Can I come in?" His voice was barely a whisper. I stepped aside, doctor mode kicking in as I cataloged his symptoms: dilated pupils, trembling hands, shallow breathing. But it was the way he flinched when I reached for him that broke my heart. "Let me get my first aid kit." I kept my voice steady, professional. Like he was just another patient, not my son showing up looking like he'd been in a fight. He sat at my kitchen table, the same place where he'd done homework, shared breakfasts, told me about his first crush. Now he looked like a stranger in his own childhood home. "It's not what you think," he said as I cleaned the scratches. "We just had a disagreement." "About?" He winced, either from the antiseptic or the question. "I was hungry. Really hungry. The construction site was brutal today, and I stopped at that deli near work." My hand stilled. "The one with the pastrami you used to love?" "I didn't eat anything," he said quickly. "Just looked at the menu." "But Chloe." She checks my phone's location history. She saw where I'd been. The cotton ball in my hand was suddenly shredded. I forced myself to breathe slowly. "And?" She said I was betraying everything we believe in. That even thinking about meat makes me complicit in murder. His voice cracked. When I tried to explain about needing more protein for work, she got upset. "Upset enough to do this?" I gestured to his arms. She didn't mean to. She was trying to grab my phone, check if I'd taken pictures of the menu too, to tempt myself later. He laughed, a hollow sound that scared me more than the scratches. That's crazy, right? That sounds crazy when I say it out loud. I wanted to shake him, to scream that yes, it was crazy. Instead, I asked, where is she now? At her sister's. She said she needs space to process my betrayal. He rubbed his face. Mom, I don't know what to do. I love her, but I'm so tired. All the time. And sometimes when I'm at work, I get dizzy. Ethan. But she says that's just the toxins leaving my body. That I need to push through it. That if I really loved her, I'd be stronger. The first aid supplies clattered as my hands shook with rage. And what do you think? He looked up, and for a moment, I saw my little boy again, the one who'd come to me with scraped knees and broken toys, trusting me to fix everything. I think. He swallowed hard. I think I'm scared. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. The color drained from his face as he read the message. She's coming here. He stood up so fast he stumbled. I have to go. She can't know I told you anything. You don't have to leave. Stay here, let me help. You don't understand. She'll say you're poisoning my mind. That you're trying to destroy our marriage. He was already backing toward the door. Please, don't tell her I was here. Don't tell anyone. Ethan, wait. But he was gone, disappearing into the rain like a ghost. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by bloody cotton balls and antiseptic wipes, feeling more helpless than I had since his father died. The doctor in me was screaming about documented abuse, about the need for intervention. The mother in me was ready to hunt Chloe down. My phone lit up with a text from Linda. Everything okay? Saw lights on. I stared at the message, thinking about Ethan's pleading eyes, his trembling hands, the way he jumped at shadows. No, I typed back. Nothing is okay. Need your help. Come over tomorrow. Bringing reinforcements. Because this wasn't just about food anymore. This wasn't even about control. This was about saving my son's life, whether he was ready to be saved or not. And Chloe? She'd just shown her true colors. Now I had proof and a mother's fury to fuel what came next. The call came during my morning rounds. Frank's gruff voice cut through the hospital's ambient noise. Maggie, get to Memorial East now. Ethan collapsed at the construction site. My world narrowed to tunnel vision as I ran to my car. The same hospital where I delivered the news of his father's heart attack 20 years ago. History has a cruel sense of humor. I found Linda in the emergency waiting room, pacing. They're running tests, she said before I could ask. Frank's giving his statement to OSHA. Apparently Ethan was 30 feet up when he passed out. Thank God for the safety harness. My medical training ward with maternal panic. Any word from Chloe? She's on her way. Says it's all our fault for. Linda's jaw tightened. For poisoning his mind with negative energy. Before I could respond, Kevin appeared in scrubs. The look on his face made my stomach drop. Severe malnutrition, he said without preamble. Anemia, dangerously low protein levels, multiple vitamin deficiencies. His body's literally consuming its own muscle mass. Maggie, if he'd been any higher on that scaffold. I gripped Linda's arm for support. Is he conscious? In and out. We're starting him on 4 nutrients, but what do you think you're doing? Chloe's voice cut through the corridor like a whip. She stormed toward us, phone in hand. I've already contacted our holistic healer. We're transferring Ethan to a natural wellness center. The hell you are, I snapped, stepping between her and the treatment area. He nearly died today. Because you've all been undermining his commitment. The stress of your constant judgment is what made him weak. Weak? My voice shook. I just saw his blood work. His body is shutting down because you've convinced him that proteins and supplements are evil. How dare you blame me? I've saved him from. Mom? Everything stopped. Ethan's voice, weak but clear, came from the nearby room. I moved toward it, but Chloe shoved past me. Baby, I'm here. Don't worry, I'm getting you out. Step away from the patient. Kevin's authority filled the room. As his attending physician, I'm ordering a psychiatric evaluation before any decisions about transfer are made. Chloe whirled on him. You can't do that. He's my husband. Watch me. Kevin's voice was steel. Security's already been called. I approached Ethan's bed while Chloe argued with Kevin. My son looked small against the white sheets, tubes running into his arms. His wedding ring was loose on his finger. The harness caught me, he whispered. But I saw Dad, just for a second. Something inside me broke and reformed. Ethan, listen to me. You're staying here. No wellness centers, no holistic healers. This ends now. You can't make that decision. Chloe shrieked, lunging forward. Security arrived just in time to catch her arms as she tried to reach the 4 bags. Ethan, tell them. Tell them I know what's best for you. But Ethan was looking at his hands, at the prominent bones in his wrists. I can't feel my fingers properly anymore. That's the toxins leaving. No. His voice was quiet but firm. No more toxins. No more cleansing. I want to get better. The look Chloe gave him could have frozen hell. If you let them poison you with their medicines, we're done. Do you understand? Everything we've built, everything we believe in. Everything you believe in, he corrected softly. I believe in staying alive. As security escorted a screaming Chloe out, I watched color return to Ethan's face, not from improved health, but from something else. Relief. Mom? His hand found mine, trembling but sure. I'm sorry. I should have listened. Don't. I squeezed his fingers gently. Just focus on getting stronger. We'll handle everything else later. Kevin appeared with additional 4 bags, including, he added, a restraining order. The police want to talk about those scratches once you're stabilized. I watched the medications drip into my son's veins, each drop pushing back against months of systematic destruction. Chloe's threats echoed from the hallway, but they seemed weaker now, like a spell losing its power. This wasn't the end. Recovery never is. But watching Ethan drift into a peaceful sleep, I finally felt something I hadn't in months: hope. And maybe, just maybe, a little justice. 3 days into Ethan's recovery, I woke to the sound of breaking glass. I'd been sleeping in the guest room of my house, where Ethan was staying after his discharge, when the crash jolted me awake. My first thought was that he'd fallen, his balance still shaky from weakness. Instead, I found Chloe in my kitchen, surrounded by shattered plates and the remains of the protein-rich dinner I'd prepared for Ethan. You're poisoning him, she snarled, looking wild-eyed and dangerous. Filling him with corpses and chemicals. Get out before I call the police. I reached for my phone, but she laughed, a high, unhinged sound. Already called them myself. Told them you're holding my husband against his will. Forcing him to break his ethical principles. That's abuse, Dr. Harlow. Elder abuse, since he's your caretaker. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? The paperwork I filed. About how you're manipulating your vulnerable son, making him care for you because you're too unstable to live alone. She smiled, all teeth. Your medical license might even come under review. Mom? Ethan appeared in the doorway, pale and swaying. What's going on? Baby? Chloe's voice transformed instantly, becoming soft and concerned. I'm here to save you. Your mother's been reported for elder abuse. We can go home now, start your cleanse. The only abuse here was you nearly killing him, I snapped, moving toward Ethan. Don't touch him. Chloe grabbed a knife from my counter. He's coming with me. Chloe, put that down. Ethan's voice shook, but he stood straighter. You need help. I need help. The knife wavered. I'm not the one who betrayed everything we believe in. Who let his mother fill him with poison. It's called food, he said quietly. And medicine. And I'm not leaving. Red and blue lights flashed through my windows. Chloe's smile returned, triumphant. Perfect timing. They'll see exactly what kind of monster your mother is. The next few minutes blurred. Police officers entered, taking in the scene. Broken glass, a knife-wielding woman, my trembling son. But then Chloe started speaking, her voice steady and reasonable, spinning a tale of concern for her confused husband and his manipulative mother. To my horror, one officer started nodding sympathetically. She has documentation, he said, showing his partner some papers. Claims of elder abuse, medical manipulation. That's ridiculous, I protested. My son nearly died from malnutrition. We have hospital records. Natural cleansing protocols, Chloe interrupted smoothly, which his mother interrupted with unnecessary medical intervention. She's using her position as a doctor to stop. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos. He pulled up his sleeve, showing the healing scratches. These are from her. I have pictures dated. And hospital records showing systematic malnutrition under her care. She's been tracking my location, controlling my food, isolating me from family. The officer's expressions shifted. One reached for his handcuffs. You promised, Chloe whispered, her mask finally cracking. You promised you'd never betray our cause. Your cause, Ethan corrected, nearly killed me. As they led Chloe away, she turned back, her face contorted with rage. This isn't over. Your mother's career, your reputation, I'll destroy everything. You'll see I was right. You'll come crawling back when their poison makes you sick. The door closed on her screams, leaving my kitchen in eerie silence. Ethan swayed, and I rushed to steady him. I've got you, I murmured, helping him to a chair. She's right about one thing, he said quietly. It's not over. She'll keep coming back, keep trying to save me. I looked around my destroyed kitchen, at the wasted food that could have helped my son grow stronger, at the knife still lying where Chloe dropped it. The police would need statements. The hospital would need to be notified about potential security issues. My career might face scrutiny from her false claims. But my son was alive and choosing to stay that way. Let her try, I said, starting to clean up the mess. We've survived worse. Ethan picked up a broom, his hands steadier than they'd been in months. Together this time? Together. Because sometimes rock bottom isn't where you lose everything. It's where you find what's worth fighting for. A week after the kitchen incident, I found Ethan sitting at our old breakfast nook, staring at divorce papers. The morning light caught the returning fullness in his face, the healthy glow slowly replacing months of pallor. Chloe's lawyer delivered these, he said without looking up, along with a manifesto about how I've betrayed the movement. I set down my coffee, choosing my words carefully. How are you feeling about that? Honestly? He traced the edge of the papers. Relieved. And then guilty for feeling relieved. Is that crazy? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Chloe, looking immaculate in sustainable bamboo clothing, a far cry from her wild appearance last week. We should call the police, I said. The restraining order. No. Ethan stood, steadier than he'd been in months. I need to face her. For myself. I opened the door, positioning myself between them. Chloe's practiced smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm here to talk sense into my husband, she announced. Privately. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of my mother, Ethan replied. Chloe's facade cracked slightly. Fine. You're making a terrible mistake. The movement needs you. I need you. Whatever lies they've told you about your health. Lies. Ethan's laugh was bitter. I have medical records, Chloe. Documentation of systematic malnutrition. Of abuse. That's their interpretation. You were becoming pure, transcending. I was dying. His voice was quiet but firm. I saw the scales at the hospital. Saw my blood work. That wasn't transcendence, it was starvation. Because you were weak. She stepped forward, that familiar zealot's light in her eyes. If you just committed fully, pushed through, he would be dead. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Your movement nearly killed my son. Your son. Chloe's laugh was sharp. You lost any right to call him that when you filled him with poison. When you turned him against everything we believe in. Everything you believe in, Ethan corrected. I never believed in it. I believed in you. There's a difference. Something dangerous flashed across Chloe's face. She reached into her bag, pulling out her phone. Fine. Then I'll show everyone who you really are. I have videos, Ethan. Of you admitting to animal cruelty, of you confessing your guilt. One click and your construction company sees their manager advocating for violence. You mean the videos you took while I was malnourished and confused? Ethan's voice strengthened. The ones where you can hear yourself prompting my responses? Go ahead. Show everyone exactly how you operated. I saved you. You controlled me. There's a difference. The phone clattered to the floor. Chloe's composure shattered completely. You're nothing without me, she whispered. Nothing without our cause. Just another mindless consumer, destroying the planet bite by bite. No. Ethan picked up the divorce papers. I'm someone who chooses to live. Who can respect your beliefs without letting them destroy me? There's a difference. A difference, she spat. Is that your mother talking? Did she teach you that while she was force-feeding you corpses? She taught me that love doesn't hurt. Ethan's voice caught. That's the biggest difference of all. Chloe stared at him for a long moment, something almost like understanding flickering across her face. Then it hardened into contempt. You'll regret this, she said, backing toward the door. When the guilt catches up to you, when you realize what you've thrown away. The only thing I regret, Ethan interrupted, is how long it took me to see the difference between passion and poison. After she left, Ethan's hands shook as he signed the divorce papers. I wanted to hold him, to protect him like when he was small, but this wasn't my battle anymore. You kept saying difference, I observed quietly, because that's what she never understood. He set down the pen. The difference between love and control. Between belief and obsession. He looked up at me, eyes clear. Between surviving and living. I watched my son straighten his shoulders, looking more like himself than he had in years. Sometimes the biggest victories don't come with fanfare or dramatic showdowns. Sometimes they come in quiet moments of clarity when someone finally sees the difference between what they've endured and what they deserve. And sometimes that's enough. 6 months later, I stood in my kitchen watching Ethan prepare dinner. He moved with confidence now, his strength fully returned, chopping vegetables with the same precision he'd inherited from his father. Mom, taste this. He held out a spoon of something that smelled divine. It's a plant-based protein curry. Kevin's recipe. I raised an eyebrow. Still experimenting with vegan dishes? Some of them are actually good. He shrugged. Just because Chloe was wrong about everything else doesn't mean every single idea was bad. The doorbell rang and Linda burst in with Frank trailing behind, carrying wine. Something smells amazing, she announced, then paused. And vegan. And not vegan, Ethan replied, gesturing to the grilled chicken on the counter. I'm learning about balance. Frank uncorked the wine. Speaking of balance, heard anything from the zealot lately? Frank, Linda chided, but Ethan just smiled. Her last email was different, he said quietly. She's in therapy. Finally dealing with her own eating disorder, apparently. The control issues, the obsession, it wasn't really about animals at all. I watched him carefully. How do you feel about that? Relieved, mostly. That she's getting help. That I got out. He stirred the curry thoughtfully. She asked to meet, actually. To apologize in person. The kitchen fell silent. Linda shot me a worried look, but I kept my face neutral. What did you tell her? I asked. That I'm glad she's healing, but some distances need to be maintained. He tasted the curry, added a pinch of salt. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do for someone is to let them grow without you. Frank raised his glass. Wise words from the kid who used to eat mud pies. We laughed, and just like that, the tension broke. As we settled around the table, a mix of vegan and non-vegan dishes spread before us, I noticed how naturally Ethan moved between both worlds now. No guilt, no shame, just choices made from strength rather than fear. Oh! Linda remembered something. How's the new project going? The one with the shelter. Ethan's face lit up. We're breaking ground next week. A domestic violence shelter with a teaching kitchen. Helping people rebuild their relationships with food and control. And themselves, I added softly. He caught my eye, understanding passing between us. We'd both learned something about control this year, about when to hold on and when to let go. The conversation flowed easily after that, punctuated by Frank's terrible jokes and Linda's eye rolling. I sat back, watching my family, smaller than some, perhaps, but stronger for what we'd weathered together. Later, as everyone helped clean up, I found Ethan standing at the window, staring at the garden his father had planted 20 years ago. Thinking about Dad? I asked. Actually, yeah. Remember how he always said you could tell a lot about people by how they feed others? I nodded, throat tight. I get it now. It's not just about the food, it's about the intention behind it. Chloe fed me ideology. You feed me love. He paused. Dad would have seen through her immediately, wouldn't he? Probably. He was good at spotting the difference between passion and poison. Like father, like son, he smiled. Just took me a little longer to learn. As if on cue, his phone buzzed, another email from Chloe. I tensed, but Ethan just glanced at it and put the phone away. Not even curious? I asked. Some stories need to end for others to begin. He picked up a dish towel. Besides, I'm cooking for that shelter fundraiser tomorrow. Got more important things to focus on. I watched him return to the kitchen, joking with Frank about sustainable dishwashing techniques. The son I'd almost lost was back, but different, stronger, wiser, with scars that had healed into wisdom. Sometimes love means protecting people from harm. Sometimes it means letting them face it head-on. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it means standing in your kitchen on a regular Tuesday night, watching your child choose himself. One meal at a time. That's the thing about healing. It doesn't always come with dramatic gestures or grand revelations. Sometimes it comes in simple moments, in curry recipes and family dinners, in the quiet victory of choosing to nourish rather than destroy. And sometimes, that's the greatest revenge of all. Everett, are you really going to let her talk to me like that? I can't keep the tremor out of my voice as I stare at my husband, silently pleading for support. Mavis, my mother-in-law, sneers from across the kitchen table. You've never been good enough for my son. The words hang in the air, sharp and poisonous. Everett shifts uncomfortably, his eyes darting between us. He opens his mouth, closes it, then reaches for his coffee mug instead. My name is Cora, and this is the moment my world began to unravel. I think we all need to calm down. Everett finally mumbles, his gaze fixed on the tablecloth. Mavis's lips curl into a triumphant smile. Yes, Cora. Do try to control yourself. I push back from the table, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. I need some air. As I storm out onto the back porch, I hear Mavis's voice drifting after me. So dramatic. I don't know how you put up with her, darling. The cool morning air does little to soothe the fire in my chest. How did we get here? It's only been 2 weeks since Mavis moved in after her husband's death, but it feels like an eternity. The screen door creaks open behind me. Mom, Lila's voice is soft, hesitant. Are you okay? I turn to face my daughter, forcing a smile. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just a little disagreement. Lila's brow furrows. At 17, she's perceptive enough to see through my facade. Grandma's being awful again, isn't she? Before I can respond, Mavis's shrill voice cuts through the air. Lila, come help me with the dishes. Lila rolls her eyes. I should go. Don't let her get to you, Mom. As she disappears back into the house, I lean against the porch railing, trying to steady my breathing. The sound of raised voices filters through the open windows. Wasting her potential, Mavis is saying. A girl like Lila should be thinking about marriage, not some fancy college. Mom, we've talked about this. Everett replies, his tone weary. Lila's future is her decision. And you're just going to let Cora fill her head with nonsense? Mark my words, that girl will end up just like her mother, stuck in this backwater town with nothing to show for it. Something inside me snaps. I burst back into the kitchen, my hands clenched into fists. That's enough. 3 pairs of eyes swivel towards me. Lila, paused mid-dish drying, looks caught between concern and relief. Everett's face is a mask of discomfort. And Mavis looks positively gleeful. I will not stand here and let you insult me or my daughter, I say, my voice low and dangerous. This is our home, Mavis. You're a guest here. Mavis's eyes narrow. Everett, are you going to let her speak to your mother this way? I turn to my husband, silently willing him to take a stand. But Everett just sighs, running a hand through his hair. Can't we all just get along? In that moment, I see our future stretching out before me, years of snide comments, undermining, and passive-aggressive battles. Years of Everett caught in the middle, never quite choosing a side. No, I say quietly. I don't think we can. I lock eyes with Lila, seeing a reflection of my own determination. Whatever happens next, I know one thing for certain. I won't let Mavis destroy everything we've built. This is war, and I intend to win. I slam the car door shut, my hands shaking as I grip the steering wheel. Lila slides into the passenger seat, her face a mix of concern and determination. "You okay, Mom?" she asks softly. I take a deep breath, forcing a smile. "I will be. Let's just get you to school." As we pull out of the driveway, I catch sight of Mavis watching from the living room window. Her lips are pursed in disapproval, and I feel a surge of anger rising in my chest. The drive to Lila's high school is tense, the air thick with unspoken words. Finally, Lila breaks the silence. "I heard what Grandma said about college," she says, her voice tight. "She's wrong, isn't she?" I glance at my daughter, seeing the uncertainty in her eyes. "Of course she's wrong, sweetheart. Your future is yours to decide, not hers." Lila nods, but I can tell she's still troubled. As we pull up to the school, I reach out and squeeze her hand. "We'll figure this out, okay? Don't let her get in your head." Lila manages a small smile before climbing out of the car. I watch her walk away, my heart heavy with worry. The house is quiet when I return. Everett's already left for work, and Mavis is nowhere to be seen. I breathe a sigh of relief, savoring the moment of peace. It doesn't last long. "Cora?" Mavis's voice cuts through the silence. "Is that you?" I steel myself before answering. "Yes, Mavis. I'm in the kitchen." She appears in the doorway, her face a mask of concern. "I was hoping we could talk about this morning. I feel terrible about our little misunderstanding." I bite back a retort, knowing it will only make things worse. "What did you want to say?" Mavis settles herself at the table, folding her hands primly. "I've been thinking about Lila's future. You know, I only want what's best for her." "And what do you think is best?" I ask, already dreading the answer. "Well, college is all well and good for some girls," Mavis begins, her tone patronizing. "But Lila's such a pretty thing. With the right guidance, she could make a wonderful wife and mother. There's no shame in that, you know." I feel my blood begin to boil. Lila can be anything she wants to be, Mavis, including a wife and mother, if that's her choice. But it will be her choice. Mavis's eyes narrow. "You're filling her head with unrealistic expectations. Not everyone can have a fancy career. Some of us have to be practical." "Practical?" I repeat, my voice rising. "Is that what you call crushing a young woman's dreams?" "Now, Cora," Mavis says, her tone sickly sweet. "I know you mean well, but you have to face facts. The world out there isn't kind to girls like Lila. Better she learns that now than waste years chasing pipe dreams." I open my mouth to argue, but the sound of the front door opening interrupts us. Everett walks in, his brow furrowing as he takes in the scene. "Everything okay in here?" he asks cautiously. Mavis's demeanor instantly changes. "Oh, Everett, darling. I'm so glad you're home. I was just trying to have a reasonable discussion with Cora about Lila's future, but she's being so difficult." I turn to my husband, silently pleading for support. But Everett just sighs, running a hand through his hair. "Can't we table this for now?" he asks wearily. "I've had a long day." I feel a surge of frustration. "Everett, this is important. Your mother is trying to dictate Lila's entire future." "I'm sure she's just trying to help," Everett says, avoiding my gaze. Mavis smiles triumphantly. "See, Cora? Everett understands. We only want what's best for Lila." As I watch my husband retreat to his study, leaving me alone with Mavis, I realize the battle lines have been drawn. If I want to protect Lila's dreams, I'll have to do it alone. But I'm ready for the fight. Mavis may think she's won this round, but she has no idea what I'm capable of when it comes to defending my daughter's future. I'm sorting through a pile of college brochures when I hear hushed voices coming from Everett's study. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I creep closer to the door, straining to listen. "Can't let her go, Everett," Mavis's voice hisses. "Once Lila leaves for college, we'll lose all control." My heart races as I wait for Everett's response. Surely, he'll defend our daughter's dreams. I know, Mom, he sighs. But what can we do? Cora's set on this college thing. I clench my fists, anger rising in my chest. How dare they plot behind my back? Leave it to me, Mavis says, her tone smug. I've already spoken to your cousin about that receptionist position at his firm. Perfect for a girl like Lila. You really think she'd go for that? Everett asks, doubt creeping into his voice. Of course not, Mavis scoffs. But if her college applications mysteriously go missing, or her scholarships fall through, well, she'll need a backup plan, won't she? I've heard enough. Pushing the door open, I storm into the study. How could you? I demand, glaring at Everett. He jumps, guilt written all over his face. Cora, Save it, I snap. Turning to Mavis, I feel a surge of rage. And you? How dare you try to sabotage Lila's future? Mavis's eyes narrow. I'm doing what's best for this family. Something you clearly don't understand. Get out, I seethe. Both of you. I need to think. As they leave, Everett hesitates in the doorway. Cora, please. Let's talk about this. I shake my head, fighting back tears. There's nothing to talk about. You've made your choice. Alone in the study, I sink into Everett's chair, my mind reeling. How long has this been going on? How many of Lila's dreams have they already crushed? I pull out my phone, dialing Ruth's number with shaking hands. She answers on the second ring. Cora, what's wrong? Everything. I choke out. Ruth, I need your help. An hour later, I'm sitting in Ruth's cozy kitchen, a mug of tea warming my hands. I've told her everything. Mavis's manipulations, Everett's betrayal, the plot against Lila's college plans. Ruth's face is a storm of emotions. Oh, honey, she says, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't know what to do, I admit, feeling lost. How do I protect Lila when my own husband is working against us? Ruth's eyes harden with determination. We fight back, she says firmly. First things first, we need to secure Lila's applications and scholarship information. Can you get those without Everett or Mavis noticing? I nod, a plan already forming. Lila keeps copies in her room. I can grab them tonight. Good, Ruth says. Bring them here for safekeeping. And Cora? I think it's time you and Lila considered staying with me for a while. The thought of leaving my home, even temporarily, sends a pang through my chest. But as I picture Mavis's smug face and Everett's weakness, I know Ruth is right. Okay, I agree, straightening my shoulders. But there's one more thing I need to do first. That evening, I wait until Mavis retires to her room before confronting Everett in our bedroom. He looks up from his book, wariness in his eyes. We need to talk, I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Everett sighs, setting his book aside. Cora, about earlier. I cut him off. No excuses, Everett. I want the truth. How long have you been plotting with your mother against our daughter? He flinches at my words. It's not like that. Mom just wants what's best for Lila. And you? I press. What do you want? Everett's shoulders slump. I don't know anymore. I just want everyone to be happy. Well, congratulations, I say bitterly. You've managed to make everyone miserable instead. As I turn to leave, Everett calls out. Where are you going? I pause in the doorway, not looking back. To save our daughter's future, with or without you. The morning after my confrontation with Everett, I wake to find Lila's bed empty. Panic grips me until I hear muffled voices from the kitchen. I creep downstairs, pausing outside the door to listen. Your mother means well, Lila. Mavis's saccharine voice drifts through. College isn't everything, you know. Why, I never went, and look how well I turned out. I peek around the corner to see Lila's face, a mix of confusion and frustration. But Grandma, I've always wanted to. Nonsense. Mavis interrupts. A pretty girl like you should focus on finding a good husband. That's the key to a happy life. I've heard enough. Stepping into the kitchen, I clear my throat loudly.
Good morning, Lila.
Mavis. Mavis's smile doesn't reach her eyes.
Oh, Cora.
We were just having a little chat about Lila's future. I heard. I say coldly. Lila, go get ready for school. I need to speak with your grandmother. Once Lila's gone, I turn to Mavis. This ends now. You will not undermine my daughter's dreams anymore. Mavis's facade cracks, revealing the venom beneath. You ungrateful little. The doorbell interrupts her tirade. I answer it to find Ruth, her face etched with concern. Everything okay? She asks, eyeing Mavis over my shoulder. Perfect timing, I say, ushering her in. Mavis was just leaving. I most certainly was not. Mavis sputters. Ruth steps forward, her voice steel. I think you were, Mavis. Cora and I have some things to discuss. Mavis storms out, slamming the door behind her. I collapse into a chair, exhausted. Thank you, I whisper to Ruth.
She squeezes my hand.
That's what friends are for. Now, are you ready to get out of here? I nod, determination replacing my fatigue. Let me talk to Lila first. I find Lila in her room, staring at her college application essays. Mom, she says, her voice small. What's going on? I sit beside her, choosing my words carefully. Honey, things have gotten complicated here. I think it might be best if we stay with Aunt Ruth for a while. Lila's eyes widen. What about Dad? And Grandma? Your father. I pause, swallowing the lump in my throat. He needs some time to figure things out. As for your grandmother, well, she won't be making decisions for you anymore. Lila nods slowly, relief washing over her face. So, I can still apply to college. Absolutely, I say firmly. In fact, that's our top priority now. As we pack our bags, I hear the front door open. Everett's voice calls out, tinged with panic. Cora? Lila? I meet him in the hallway, Lila hovering behind me. His eyes dart between us and our suitcases.
What's going on? He demands.
We're leaving, I say simply. Staying with Ruth for a while. Everett's face crumples. Cora, please. We can work this out. Can we? I challenge. Are you ready to stand up to your mother? To support your daughter's dreams? His silence is answer enough. That's what I thought, I say, my voice breaking. We'll be in touch about Lila's college applications. As we drive away, Lila's hand in mine, I catch sight of Mavis in the rearview mirror. She's standing on the porch, her face a mask of fury. But for the first time in weeks, I feel a glimmer of hope. At Ruth's house, we settle into the guest room. Lila unpacks her school books while I call her guidance counselor, explaining the situation and ensuring Lila's college preparations stay on track. That night, as Lila sleeps peacefully for the first time in weeks, Ruth and I sit on the porch swing. What now? I ask, staring into the darkness. Ruth's voice is gentle but firm. Now we fight. For Lila's future and for yours. I nod, resolve strengthening my spine. Mavis may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. And I intend to win. 2 weeks into our stay at Ruth's, I watch Lila hunched over her laptop, her face glowing with excitement. Mom, look, she exclaims, turning the screen towards me. I just finished my personal statement for Stanford. Pride swells in my chest as I scan the essay. Away from Mavis's toxic influence, Lila's confidence has blossomed. It's wonderful, sweetheart, I say, squeezing her shoulder. Ruth pokes her head into the room. How about we celebrate with some ice cream? As we pile into Ruth's car, my phone buzzes. Everett's name flashes on the screen. I hesitate before answering. Cora? His voice is strained. When are you coming home? I take a deep breath. Everett, we've talked about this. We're not coming back until things change. But Mom's been asking about Lila, he pleads. She misses her granddaughter. Anger flares in my chest. Misses controlling her, you mean? Has Mavis even acknowledged how she's hurt Lila? His silence speaks volumes. That's what I thought, I say, my resolve hardening. Goodbye, Everett. As I hang up, I catch Lila's worried gaze in the rearview mirror. Everything okay, Mom? I force a smile. Just fine, honey. Let's go get that ice cream. Later that night, after Lila's gone to bed, Ruth and I sit on the porch, nursing glasses of wine. I've been thinking, I say, breaking the comfortable silence. I need to find a way to secure Lila's college future without Everett or Mavis's help. Ruth nods thoughtfully. What did you have in mind? I take a sip of wine, steeling myself. I'm going to apply for a loan to cover Lila's tuition. It'll be tight, but I can pick up extra shifts at the hospital. Cora, Ruth says gently, are you sure? That's a lot to take on by yourself. I have to, I insist. I can't let Mavis win. I can't let her crush Lila's dreams. Ruth squeezes my hand. Then we'll make it happen. I know some people at the bank who might be able to help. The next morning, I'm reviewing loan applications when my phone rings. It's Lila's guidance counselor, Mrs. Thompson. I have some exciting news. Lila's been nominated for a prestigious scholarship. It could cover a significant portion of her college expenses. My heart soars. That's incredible. What does she need to do? There's an interview process, the counselor explains. It's quite competitive, but given Lila's grades and extracurriculars, I think she has a real shot. As I hang up, a plan begins to form. This scholarship could be our ticket to freedom from Mavis's financial control. I find Lila in the backyard, sketching in her notebook. Honey, we need to talk, I say, sitting beside her. I explain about the scholarship, watching her eyes light up with hope. Do you really think I could win it? She asks, a hint of doubt creeping into her voice. I know you can, I say firmly, and I'm going to help you prepare. We're in this together. Over the next few days, Lila and I throw ourselves into scholarship preparation. We practice interview questions, polish her resume, and work on her presentation skills. With each passing day, I see her confidence grow. One evening, as we're reviewing her application materials, Lila pauses. Mom, she says hesitantly, what if Dad and Grandma find out about this? I meet her gaze, my jaw set with determination. Then we'll face them together. They can't stop you from pursuing your dreams, Lila. Not anymore. She nods, a spark of defiance in her eyes that reminds me so much of myself. You're right. We've got this. As Lila returns to her work, I slip outside to make a phone call. It's time to set the final phase of my plan in motion. Hello, Everett? We need to talk. There's something you and your mother need to know. I hang up, my heart racing with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The showdown I've been dreading and preparing for is finally at hand. But this time, I'm ready. This time, Mavis won't know what hit her. I stand on the porch of my old home, my heart pounding. Lila squeezes my hand, her face a mix of determination and apprehension. Ready, Mom? I nod, taking a deep breath. As I'll ever be. The door swings open, revealing Everett. His eyes widen at the sight of us. Cora? Lila? I didn't expect. We need to talk, I say firmly, brushing past him. All of us. In the living room, Mavis sits in her armchair like a queen on her throne. Her lips purse as we enter. Well, look who's decided to grace us with their presence. I ignore her barb, gesturing for Lila to sit. We have some news to share. Everett hovers uncertainly between us. What's going on? I lock eyes with Mavis, steeling myself. Lila's been awarded a full scholarship to Stanford. The room falls silent. Mavis's face contorts with disbelief. That's impossible. We never approved any applications. We didn't need your approval, Lila says, her voice steady. Mom helped me apply. Mavis turns to Everett, her voice dripping with venom. Did you know about this? Everett shakes his head, looking stunned. No, I had no idea. Of course you didn't, I say, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. You were too busy letting your mother run our lives. Mavis stands, her eyes flashing. How dare you go behind our backs? Everett, are you going to let them get away with this? I watch my husband, seeing the conflict play out across his face. This is the moment of truth. Actually, I say, my voice gaining strength, we're not asking for permission. We're here to tell you how things are going to be from now on. I pull out a folder, laying out documents on the coffee table. I've secured a loan to cover any additional expenses. Lila's future is set, with or without your support. Mavis lunges for the papers, but I snatch them away. This is outrageous. Everett, do something. Everett looks between us, his face pale. I don't know what to say. Then listen, I say, turning to face him fully. For years, I've watched you choose your mother over your own family. You've let her manipulate Lila's future, undermine my parenting, and destroy our marriage. It ends now. Lila stands, moving to my side. Dad, I love you, but Mom's right. Grandma's control has gone too far. Mavis sputters, her facade cracking. Control? I've only ever wanted what's best for this family. No, I say firmly. You've wanted what's best for you. Your vision, your values, your control. But it's not your life to live, Mavis. It's Lila's. I turn back to Everett, softening my tone. I know you love your mother, but it's time to choose. Are you going to support your daughter's dreams, or let them be crushed by outdated expectations? The room falls silent as Everett struggles with his decision. Mavis watches him like a hawk, her eyes narrowed. Finally, Everett straightens his shoulders. Lila, he says, his voice hoarse. Is this really what you want? Stanford. Lila nods, her eyes shining. More than anything, Dad. Everett takes a deep breath, then turns to his mother. Mom, I'm sorry, but Cora's right. We can't keep living like this. Mavis recoils as if slapped. Everett, after everything I've done for you, I'm grateful for everything, Mom. Everett says gently, but it's time to let go. Lila deserves the chance to follow her own path. Mavis's face crumples, tears welling in her eyes. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost.
Fine, she spits.
Throw away everything I've worked for. See if I care. As Mavis storms out of the room, I feel a weight lift from my shoulders. I turn to Everett, seeing a glimmer of the man I married. It's a start, I say softly, but we have a long way to go. Everett nods, reaching for Lila's hand. I know, but I'm ready to try. As we stand there, the three of us united for the first time in months, I allow myself to hope. The battle isn't over, but we've won a crucial victory. And for now, that's enough. The shrill ring of the phone pierces the uneasy silence that's settled over our home. Everett answers, his face paling as he listens. We'll be right there, he says, his voice shaking. What's wrong? I ask, dread pooling in my stomach. It's Mom, Everett replies. She's had a heart attack. The drive to the hospital is tense. Lila sits in the back seat, uncharacteristically quiet. I catch Everett's eye, seeing the conflict etched on his face. At the hospital, we find Mavis looking small and frail in her bed, a far cry from the domineering presence she's always been. Her eyes flutter open as we enter. Everett, she croaks, reaching for his hand. You came. Of course, Mom, he says softly. We're all here. Mavis's gaze lands on me, then Lila. For a moment, I see a flicker of something, regret, perhaps, in her eyes. Lila, dear, she says weakly.
Come closer.
Lila hesitates, looking to me for guidance. I nod, encouraging her forward. I hear you got into Stanford, Mavis says, her voice barely above a whisper. That's quite an achievement. Lila's eyes widen in surprise. Thank you, Grandma. Mavis turns to me, her expression unreadable. Cora, I may have been too harsh. I'm stunned into silence, unsure how to respond to this unexpected vulnerability. The doctor enters, interrupting the moment. Mrs. Thompson needs rest, he says firmly. You can come back tomorrow. As we leave, Everett lingers by his mother's bedside. I overhear snippets of their conversation. Mom, I'm sorry, but things have to change, Everett says gently. I can't keep choosing between you and my family. Mavis's reply is too soft for me to hear, but I see Everett's shoulders sag with relief. In the days that follow, a subtle shift occurs in our family dynamic. Everett becomes more present, actively engaging in Lila's college preparations. He even accompanies us to a campus visit, beaming with pride as Lila charms the admission staff. One evening, as Lila pores over housing options, Everett pulls me aside. "Cora, I owe you an apology," he says, his voice thick with emotion. "I've been blind to the damage my inaction has caused."
Seeing Mom in that hospital bed.
It made me realize how much time I've wasted, how many moments I've missed with you and Lila. I feel a lump form in my throat. "It's not too late, Everett. But things can't go back to how they were before." He nods, determination in his eyes. "I know. I want to be better, for you and for Lila. And I've asked Mom to move into assisted living once she's recovered." I'm taken aback by this declaration. "Are you sure? Won't she fight it?" Surprisingly, she agreed. Everett says with a wry smile, "I think her brush with mortality has softened her a bit." She even mentioned wanting to see Lila graduate. As the weeks pass, I watch Everett struggle to find balance between supporting his mother's recovery and rebuilding his relationship with us. It's not easy, and there are moments of tension, but I see genuine effort in his actions. Mavis, for her part, seems subdued. Her barbed comments are fewer and far between, though I'm not naive enough to think she's completely changed. Still, there's a newfound respect in her interactions with Lila, born perhaps from the realization of her granddaughter's strength and determination. One afternoon, as I help Lila pack for a pre-college summer program, I find myself reflecting on the tumultuous journey we've been through. "Mom," Lila's voice pulls me from my thoughts. "Are you okay?" I smile, feeling a swell of pride and love for my daughter. "I'm more than okay, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. You've shown incredible resilience through all of this." Lila hugs me tightly. "I learned from the best," she whispers. As we stand there, surrounded by the physical manifestations of Lila's impending departure, I realize that our family has reached a turning point. The road ahead won't be easy, but for the first time in months, I feel hopeful about our future. The battle for control is over. Now, the real work of healing and rebuilding can begin. The California sun beats down on us as we unload the last of Lila's boxes from the car. Stanford's campus buzzes with the energy of move-in day, a sea of excited freshmen and teary-eyed parents. "I think that's everything," Everett says, wiping his brow. He looks at Lila, a mix of pride and sadness in his eyes. "You ready for this, kiddo?" Lila nods, her smile bright but tinged with nervousness. "As I'll ever be." I pull her into a tight hug, my heart swelling with emotion. "You're going to do amazing things, sweetheart. We're so proud of you." As we help Lila settle into her dorm room, I can't help but marvel at how far we've come. The past year has been a crucible, testing our family's bonds to their limits. But here we are, stronger for having weathered the storm. Everett has been true to his word, working tirelessly to rebuild our trust. He's become Lila's biggest cheerleader, throwing himself into her college preparations with a fervor that sometimes borders on comical. It's not perfect. Old habits die hard, but the effort is genuine. Mavis, surprisingly, has mellowed in her new assisted living facility. Her health scare seems to have given her a new perspective. She even sent Lila a care package for college, filled with practical items and, shockingly, a heartfelt letter of encouragement. It's a small step, but a significant one. As we say our final goodbyes, Lila pulls me aside. "Mom," she says, her voice thick with emotion, "I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for fighting for me." I blink back tears, cupping her face in my hands. "You're the one who did all the hard work, Lila. I just cleared the path." "You did more than that," she insists. "You showed me what it means to stand up for yourself, to not let anyone else define your worth. I'll carry that lesson with me always." We embrace one last time before Everett, and I reluctantly head back to the car. As we drive away, I watch Lila in the rearview mirror, growing smaller but standing tall, ready to take on the world. The house feels emptier without Lila, but there's a peace that wasn't there before. One evening, as Everett and I sit on the porch swing, he takes my hand. Cora, he says softly, I know I have a lot to make up for, but I want you to know how grateful I am for your strength. You saved our family when I was too weak to see what was happening. I squeeze his hand, feeling the warmth of forgiveness slowly melting the ice around my heart. We saved our family together, Everett. It just took us a while to get on the same page. He nods, a rueful smile on his face. I've been thinking, maybe it's time for us to start a new chapter too. How would you feel about renewing our vows? A fresh start, just the two of us. The suggestion catches me off guard, but as I consider it, I feel a spark of hope ignite in my chest. I'd like that, I say softly. A new beginning. As we sit there, watching the sun set on another day, I reflect on the journey that brought us here. The battles fought, the tears shed, the strength found in unexpected places. I think of Lila, embarking on her own adventure, armed with the resilience she's inherited and the lessons she's learned. And I realize that this messy, imperfect, beautiful thing we call family is worth fighting for. It's worth protecting, nurturing, and sometimes completely reimagining. Our story isn't over. There will be new challenges, new conflicts to navigate. But now we face them together, stronger for having been broken and remade. As the first stars appear in the darkening sky, I lean my head on Everett's shoulder, feeling a sense of peace I haven't known in years. Whatever comes next, we're ready. We've learned the true meaning of family, not control or obligation, but love, respect, and the courage to stand up for what's right. And that, I know, is the greatest victory of all. The boxes were gone. All of them. My entire life. Packed away and replaced with mint green walls, a white crib, and a rocking chair where my desk used to be. I stood in the doorway, my backpack sliding off my shoulder and hitting the floor with a dull thud. Do you like it? Marisol's voice came from behind me, dripping with false sweetness. We finished it yesterday. The designer did such an amazing job with the space.
My space. My room.
The walls my mom and I had painted together when I was 12, covered up like they never existed. I pressed my palm against the doorframe, steadying myself. Where are my things? The words came out barely above a whisper. Oh, honey. Marisol waddled closer, her pregnant belly leading the way. Grant moved everything to the basement. We needed this room for the baby. It has the best natural light. I turned to face her, catching the slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. She'd been waiting for this moment, probably rehearsing it while directing the movers where to put the changing table. You had no right. My voice grew stronger. This is my mother's house. Actually, it's your father's house now. She placed her hand on her belly, a gesture she used like a shield. And we're having a baby. You're practically grown. You'll be going to college soon anyway. Heavy footsteps on the stairs announced my father's arrival. He appeared behind Marisol, his face already set in that placating expression I'd grown to hate. Elara, be reasonable. The baby needs. Mom left this house to me. I cut him off, my hands balling into fists. You know she did. That's not exactly. He ran his fingers through his thinning hair. It's complicated, sweetie. There are legal aspects you don't understand. Then explain them to me. I stepped closer, forcing him to meet my eyes. Because I remember sitting in Mr. Patterson's office after the funeral. I remember him reading the will. Marisol's hand found my father's arm. Grant, maybe we should all sit down and discuss this calmly. The stress isn't good for her. The baby. Right. I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign in my throat. Because that's all that matters now. I pushed past them, taking the stairs two at a time. The basement door was locked. Another new development. My father called after me, but I was already moving, grabbing my keys from the hook by the front door. Elara, wait. He caught up to me on the porch. Where are you going? To Aunt Val's. I yanked open my car door. At least she doesn't lie to me. You're being dramatic. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Your mother would want us to move forward, to be a family. The mention of my mother froze me in place. I turned slowly, meeting his gaze. Mom would never have let you do this. She promised me this house would always be my home. Things change, sweetie. His eyes darted away. Sometimes we have to adapt.
No, Dad.
You changed. I slid into the driver's seat. And I'm done adapting. As I backed out of the driveway, I caught a glimpse of Marisol in the nursery window, one hand on her belly, the other adjusting the pristine white curtains. My mother's wind chimes still hung from the porch, their gentle tinkling following me down the street like a goodbye. I pressed the accelerator harder, my vision blurring. Aunt Val would know what to do. She always said Mom had been smarter than anyone gave her credit for. Maybe it was time to find out exactly what that meant. Aunt Val's kitchen always smelled like cinnamon, even in summer. I sat at her worn oak table, watching steam rise from my untouched tea while she paced, phone pressed to her ear.
No, Grant.
You can't just listen to me. Her free hand clenched into a fist. That house was Elena's. You know exactly what she wanted. Theo slid into the chair beside me, his gangly teenage frame somehow taking up twice the space it should. Dad's making lasagna, he whispered. The good kind, with extra cheese. I managed a weak smile. Uncle Dorian's cooking was legendary, but right now even the thought of food made my stomach turn.
Fine.
Have your lawyer call me. Aunt Val ended the call with more force than necessary. That man has some nerve. What did he say? I traced the rim of my mug, not sure I wanted to know. He claims there were amendments to the will. She dropped into the chair across from me. Changes your mother supposedly made before she died. The lie hit me like a physical blow. That's impossible. Mom was in the hospital those last weeks. She could barely hold a pen. Exactly. Aunt Val reached for my hand. And I was there every day. She never mentioned changes to anything. Uncle Dorian appeared in the doorway, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Maybe we should call Patterson ourselves. He handled Elena's estate. Already tried. Aunt Val's mouth tightened. His office says he retired last month. All his files were transferred to some firm downtown. Convenient timing, I muttered. Too convenient. Uncle Dorian pulled up a chair. But your father's not as clever as he thinks. There are always paper trails. A notification lit up my phone, a text from Dad. Come home. We need to talk. I switched off the screen without responding. You can stay here as long as you need, Aunt Val said. The guest room is yours. Thanks. I swallowed hard. But what about school? All my stuff is still locked in their basement. I'll handle that. Uncle Dorian's calm voice steadied me. First thing tomorrow, we'll go get your things. Dad won't like that. Your father's feelings stopped being my priority the moment he locked away your belongings. Aunt Val's tone could have frozen water. Besides, I still have a key. Theo perked up. Can I come? I want to see Marisol's face when... Theo. Uncle Dorian's warning was gentle but firm. Sorry. He slouched back, but I caught his conspiratorial wink. The doorbell rang, making us all jump. Through the front window, I glimpsed my father's car in the driveway. I'll handle this. Aunt Val stood, but I caught her arm.
No.
I need to face him. I moved toward the door, my legs steadier than I expected. Dad stood on the porch, hands shoved in his pockets like a teenager. Behind him, Marisol waited in the car, her silhouette visible through the windshield. Elara, please. His voice had that pleading tone I'd grown used to since Mom died. Let's work this out. Like you worked out taking my room without asking? The baby has 8 other rooms to choose from. I crossed my arms. Mom's house has plenty of space. His face hardened. Your mother's house is my house now. And until you're 18, you live by my rules. 7 months. I met his gaze. That's how long until I'm 18. Did you think I wouldn't remember what Mom's will said? Something flickered in his eyes, fear, maybe, or guilt. Things aren't that simple. They are to me. I stepped back inside. I'll be by tomorrow for my things. Elara. I closed the door, cutting off his protest. Through the window, I watched him stand there for a long moment before returning to his car. As they drove away, I heard Aunt Val on the phone again, her voice low and determined. Yes, I need to speak to someone about contesting a will amendment. The bank statement trembled in my hands as I sat in my car outside Dad's office building. His company name wasn't on the directory anymore. In fact, according to the security guard, Grant Mitchell hadn't worked here for 3 months. My phone buzzed. Another text from Marisol. "Your father's very worried. Please come home." I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat and grabbed my backpack. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt endless. When the doors opened, I walked straight to where Dad's office used to be. Through the glass, I saw unfamiliar faces, different furniture. No trace of him. "Can I help you?" A woman in a crisp blazer appeared beside me. "I'm looking for Grant Mitchell." Her expression shifted.
Oh,
"He hasn't been with the firm since March. Something about pursuing other opportunities."
March.
2 months before he married Marisol. 1 month before Mom died. Did he leave a forwarding address? I'm afraid I can't.
Please.
I pulled out my student ID. I'm his daughter.
He's been
unreachable. She hesitated, then gestured me to follow. At her desk, she pulled up a file. The last correspondence went to a P.O. box. She scribbled the number on a Post-it. That's all I can share. Back in my car, I called Aunt Val. Dad's been lying about everything. He lost his job months ago. That explains the refinancing paperwork. Her voice was tight. The bank sent it to your mother's email. I still have access. He's taken out 2 mortgages on the house. The world tilted sideways. He can't do that. It's not his house. With the amended will. She paused. Alara, there's something else. I found out Marisol's previous marriage ended because she bankrupted her ex-husband. She has a history of financial fraud. My fingers gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Through the windshield, I watched people leaving work, heading home to their normal lives. What do they want with Mom's house? I don't know, honey, but whatever it is. A tap on my window made me jump. Dad stood there, his face a mask of concern that didn't reach his eyes. I hadn't noticed his car pull up. I have to go. I hung up as he opened my door. What are you doing here? His voice was careful, controlled. Looking for you. At the job you don't have anymore. Color drained from his face. It's complicated. The market's been. Stop lying. I stepped out of the car, forcing him to back up. Does Marisol know? Or is she just another person you're deceiving? You don't understand what's at stake. He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Everything I've done for our family. Our family died with Mom. I yanked free. Now you're just trying to steal what's left of her. The house is an investment. Once the market turns, it's not yours to invest. My voice cracked. Mom left it to me because she knew. She knew you'd do something like this. His expression hardened. You're 17. You can't possibly manage. I'm better at managing than you. I pulled the bank statement from my pocket. At least I still have a job. He snatched the paper, crumpling it. Where did you get this? Mom taught me to pay attention. I backed toward my car. She also taught me to keep records. Of everything. Fear flickered across his face, the same look I'd seen when I mentioned the will. Alara, wait. But I was already driving away, his desperate calls fading behind me. At the next red light, I pulled out my phone and opened the job listing I'd bookmarked earlier. The local bookstore was hiring, and I needed to start saving. 7 months wasn't long to prepare for war. Real estate listings? Maya, my new coworker at Cornerstone Books, peered over my shoulder at the computer screen. Looking to move? More like looking to stay. I minimized the window showing Mom's house, now listed as a charming investment opportunity. My hands shook as I sorted through the morning's shipment of novels. Careful with those. Maya steadied a teetering stack. You seem off today. Before I could answer, the bell above the door chimed. Marisol waddled in, her pregnancy making her movements awkward. Our eyes met across the store, and I froze. I'll handle it, Maya whispered, moving toward the front. But Marisol ignored her, heading straight for me. Your father's worried sick. She placed both hands on her belly, her signature move. He's trying to reach you. I continued shelving books. I'm working. This little rebellion needs to stop. Her voice dropped lower. We're trying to do what's best for everyone by selling Mom's house. I turned to face her. I saw the listing. Something flickered across her face. Surprise, then calculation. The market's perfect right now. We could all benefit. There is no we. I clutched a book so tight its corners dug into my palms. That house isn't yours to sell. No. She smiled, the expression never reaching her eyes. Check the county records. Everything's in Grant's name now. Maya appeared beside me. Is there a problem here? Just a family discussion. Marisol's smile widened. Though Alara should know, her father's lawyer called. Apparently, there are some concerns about Elena's mental state when she made her original will. The room tilted. What? The medication she was on, the pain she was in? Marisol shrugged. It brings everything into question. But we can discuss this at home. This isn't about Mom's will. The realization hit like ice water. You're broke. That's why you need to sell. Her smile vanished. You don't know what you're talking about. I know about your last marriage. About Dad losing his job. I stepped closer. What happened to his severance pay, Marisol? She grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. Listen carefully. You're a child playing at being grown up. Don't push this. Everything okay? Maya's voice carried a warning. Marisol released me, composure snapping back into place. Just remember what I said. Some battles aren't worth fighting. After she left, Maya locked the door and flipped the back in 15-minute sign. Want to tell me what that was about? I sank onto a nearby stool. My stepmother's trying to sell my dead mom's house out from under me.
Damn. She sat beside me.
That's some Cinderella-level stuff. Yeah, except this evil stepmother knows real estate law. I pulled out my phone, showing her the listing. They've already scheduled an open house. Wait, Maya zoomed in on the photos. I know this house. My mom's a property lawyer. She handled a case there years ago. Something about the original deed. My heart skipped. What kind of case? Let me call her. Maya was already dialing. She keeps records of everything. I watched her walk away, hope warring with dread in my chest. Through the store window, I could see Marisol in her car, talking intensely on her phone. She caught me watching and held my gaze as she spoke, her free hand resting on her belly. A threat or a warning. Either way, the message was clear. She wasn't backing down. But neither was I. Maya returned, her expression bright with discovery. You're going to want to hear this. Mom found something interesting about your house's original ownership. For the first time in weeks, I felt the balance of power shift. Maybe Mom had left me more than just a house. She'd left me a way to fight back. Maya's mother spread the documents across her home office desk. Your mother was clever, Alara. The house isn't just in her name. It's in a trust. One that becomes active on your 18th birthday. I traced the legal language with my finger. What does that mean? It means your father can't sell without the trustee's approval. She tapped another document. And guess who your mother named as trustee? Aunt Val. The pieces clicked into place. That's why Dad's rushing to sell now. My phone buzzed. Another message from Dad. We have an offer on the house.
Good one.
Let's talk. He's getting desperate, Aunt Val said from the doorway. I hadn't heard her arrive. The bank's threatening foreclosure on the second mortgage. Maya's mother nodded. Which he legally couldn't take out without trustee approval. The bank will void it once they see these documents.
My phone lit up again.
This time, a text from an unknown number. Open house tomorrow. Don't make a scene. They're showing the house tomorrow. I stood, my chair scraping against hardwood. We have to stop them. We will. Aunt Val's voice hardened. But legally, one wrong move and... The office door burst open. Theo stumbled in, breathless. They're at the house.
Right now.
With people. I was moving before anyone could stop me. Through the window, I saw Uncle Dorian's car pulling up. I need a ride. Alara, wait. Aunt Val called after me, but I was already running down the stairs. Uncle Dorian didn't ask questions, just drove. As we rounded the corner onto my street, I saw the cluster of cars. Real estate agent signs. prospective buyers walking up our front path. Through the living room window, I caught glimpses of Marisol playing perfect hostess. Dad stood beside her, gesturing at Mom's built-in bookshelves, the ones we'd spent a summer restoring together. "You don't have to do this now," Uncle Dorian said quietly. "Yes, I do." I got out before he could stop me. Inside, the house smelled wrong. Artificial flowers and air freshener covering Mom's familiar cinnamon and book scent. Marisol's voice carried from the kitchen. "The previous owner never updated anything, but we have plans to modernize." The previous owner was my mother. I stepped into view. The potential buyers, a young couple, startled at my tone. "And she loved this house exactly as it is." Alara. Dad's warning came through clenched teeth. "This isn't the time." "Actually, it's the perfect time." I pulled out my phone, bringing up the trust documents Maya's mother had photographed. These people should know they're viewing a house that isn't legally for sale. The couple exchanged glances. Marisol's perfect smile cracked. "Perhaps we should reschedule." "There won't be a reschedule." I turned to the buyers. "This house isn't a trust. One that my father and his new wife have no authority over." "That's enough." Dad grabbed my arm, but I yanked free. "No, it's not enough." My voice shook. "Mom knew this would happen. She knew you'd try to take everything she built. That's why she protected me from you." The silence that followed was deafening. The couple quietly excused themselves, followed by the real estate agent. Through the window, I watched them drive away as Marisol's carefully constructed facade crumbled. "You've ruined everything," she hissed.
No.
I met her gaze steadily. "I'm just getting started." Dad stepped between us, his face ashen. "We can fix this." "The only thing that needs fixing," I said, heading for the door, "is the locks. And that happens on my birthday." Behind me, Marisol started to cry, real tears this time. But I didn't look back. Some things, once broken, couldn't be fixed. And some shouldn't be. The locksmith's van pulled up exactly at noon on my 18th birthday. Dad and Marisol stood on the porch, watching as Aunt Val handed him the paperwork. Proof of the trust, the eviction notice. Everything legal and binding. "You can't do this." Marisol's voice cracked, her hand protectively over her belly. "I'm 8 months pregnant. You have 30 days. I kept my voice steady, just like we'd practiced. "The law is clear." Dad stepped forward, his face haggard. "Alara, please. We can work something out. Share the house, maybe. Like you shared Mom's memory?" The words tasted bitter. "Or her bedroom. Or my college fund." His flinch told me I'd hit home. Behind him, the locksmith began working on the front door. "We made mistakes." Dad's voice dropped lower. "But this is still your home too. Your brother or sister. We'll have 2 parents." I cut him off. "I only have Mom's memory. And this house." Marisol suddenly doubled over, gasping. Dad rushed to support her, panic flashing across his face. "The baby is fine." She straightened slowly, eyes locked on mine. "Just stress. Which isn't good for either of us, Alara." The manipulation was obvious, but something in her expression made me hesitate. Then I saw the nursery curtains through the window, the ones that used to be in my room, and my resolve hardened. "Your lawyer has the paperwork." I nodded to the manila envelope on the porch swing. 30 days. "You'll regret this." Marisol's mask slipped, revealing something ugly beneath. "When you're alone in this big house, surrounded by ghosts. Better ghosts than liars." The locksmith stood, keys in hand. "All done. New deadbolts installed." I took the keys, their weight familiar, yet strange. Behind me, Aunt Val stepped closer, her presence steady and grounding. "Grant." Her voice carried a warning. "Don't make this harder." Dad's shoulders sagged. He looked older suddenly, defeated in a way I'd never seen. "You're so much like her. Your mother never backed down either." "Good." I moved past them to unlock my front door, my door now. "Then she'd be proud. She'd be heartbroken." His words stopped me cold. Seeing her family torn apart like this. I turned slowly. You tore this family apart the day you let Marisol empty my room. The day you tried to sell Mom's house. The day you... A sharp cry cut through the air. This time when Marisol doubled over, it wasn't an act. Water pooled at her feet, spreading across the porch boards. The baby's coming. Dad's voice rose in panic. It's too early. Aunt Val was already on her phone, calling 911. I stood frozen, keys digging into my palm, as Marisol's face contorted in pain. She reached out blindly, and to my horror, her hand caught my arm. Please, she whispered, all pretense gone. Don't make us leave.
Not now.
The ambulance siren wailed in the distance. I looked at my father, supporting his wife, then at the house, my house, with its new locks and old memories. Mom would know what to do. Mom would know how to be strong without being cruel. But Mom wasn't here. And as Marisol's grip tightened with another contraction, I realized this victory felt nothing like I'd imagined. The ambulance rounded the corner, its lights painting everything in harsh red flashes. I had what I wanted, the house, the justice, the revenge. So, why did it feel like I was the one who'd lost something? Alara? Aunt Val's voice was gentle. What do you want to do? I looked down at the keys in my hand, suddenly unsure of everything. The hospital waiting room buzzed with fluorescent lights and tension. I sat between Aunt Val and Uncle Dorian, the house keys still clutched in my hand, while Dad paced near the delivery room doors. You don't have to stay, Aunt Val whispered. But I did. Something about leaving now felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. A nurse emerged, heading straight for Dad. Mr. Mitchell, your wife's asking for you. And she glanced at me. She's asking for Alara too. Dad turned, surprise and hope warring on his face. I stood slowly, my legs unsteady. You don't owe them anything, Aunt Val reminded me. I know. I followed Dad through the doors anyway. Marisol lay in the delivery room, her carefully maintained facade stripped away by pain and fear. When she saw me, tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she gasped between contractions. About everything. I was so scared of being nothing, of having nothing. Don't. I moved closer, not sure if I was stopping her apology or my own response to it. Just focus on the baby. She grabbed my hand suddenly, squeezing hard enough to hurt. Your mother's music box, the one from the mantel. I put it in storage. In the basement. I couldn't sell it. The admission hit harder than any of her previous manipulations. Dad stepped forward, his face ashen. Marisol, what are you talking about? The antiques dealer. She wouldn't meet his eyes. I told you Elena's things were worthless, but I sold them to pay off my debts before the wedding. The room tilted. Mom's things, her collection of vintage books, her grandmother's china, her jewelry, all gone. Get out. Dad's voice shook. Alara, please. But Marisol's grip tightened as another contraction hit.
No. Please stay.
I need to make this right. The monitor's beeping increased. A nurse rushed in, checking readings. Blood pressure's too high. We need to get this baby out now. Everything accelerated after that. Doctors appeared, voices overlapped, and Marisol's grip on my hand became desperate. The music box, she gasped. Behind the water heater. The key. In the liner. Stop talking, the doctor ordered. Push now. I tried to step back, but Marisol wouldn't let go. Your mother. She came to me. In the hospital. Before she died. Dad made a strangled sound. The monitor's beeping grew more urgent. She made me promise. Marisol's words came between labored breaths. Promise to look after you. I failed. I failed everyone. The baby's first cry pierced the chaos. Marisol's grip finally loosened as they placed the tiny, red-faced boy on her chest. Your brother, she whispered. I looked at this small, innocent thing, born into our web of lies and betrayal. He had Mom's nose, the same one Dad and I shared. His name, Marisol said softly, should be Elena's father's name, like she wanted for her own son. Dad sank into a chair, covering his face. I stood between them, my father, my stepmother, my brother, feeling the weight of Mom's music box key in my pocket. The one I'd found years ago, hidden in my jewelry box with a note. For when you need to remember. The baby squirmed, his tiny hand wrapping around my finger. In that moment, I understood what Mom had known all along. Some things were worth more than houses or revenge. James, I said quietly. Grandpa's name was James. Marisol nodded, tears flowing freely now. James Elena Mitchell. Outside, the sun broke through clouds, casting long shadows through the hospital windows. Like Mom's wind chimes, dancing in the light. Mom's music box sat on my desk, its familiar melody filling my new dorm room. The key had led me to more than just the box. Tucked inside was a letter, written in her final days. My dearest Alara, it began. By now you'll understand why I left the house to you, but perhaps not why I asked Marisol to watch over you. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones fighting their own battles. Your father's greatest fear was ending up like his own father, alone and bitter. Instead, he became exactly that by trying to avoid it. A knock at the door interrupted my reading. James squirmed in Dad's arms as they entered, his 7-month-old face lighting up when he saw me. Someone wanted to see his sister's new place. Dad handed him over, hovering uncertainly by the door. The house feels different without you. That's because I finally cleared out the basement. I bounced James gently. Found some interesting things in storage. His eyes fell on Mom's music box, recognition and shame crossing his face. Marisol told me everything. About selling Elena's things, about the debts. I know. I set James down on my bed, surrounded by pillows. But she also told me where to find the dealers. I've tracked down most of Mom's collection. You shouldn't have to fix our mistakes.
No.
I met his gaze. But Mom would have wanted me to try. James grabbed the letter from my desk, crumpling it with tiny fists. As I rescued it, Dad caught a glimpse of Mom's handwriting. She knew, didn't she? His voice cracked. About everything. Even before. She knew you were scared. I smoothed the letter. She wrote that fear makes people build walls when they should be building bridges. The silence stretched between us, filled only by James's happy babbling. Finally, Dad spoke. The rental income from a house, it's yours. For college. I know, but I'd rather use it to buy back Mom's things. I picked up James as he started fussing. Some legacies are worth more than money. You sound just like her. He smiled sadly. The apartment Marisol, and I found, it has an extra room. If you ever want to visit. James misses you. Just James. His eyes welled up.
No.
Not just James. I handed him back his son, who immediately grabbed his nose. I have a study group tonight, but maybe this weekend I could come see the apartment. We'd like that. He turned to leave, then stopped. Elena would be proud of you, Alara. Not for keeping the house, but for knowing when to open its doors. After they left, I returned to Mom's letter, reading the final lines I'd memorized weeks ago. The house is yours, my darling. But don't let it become a fortress. Let it be what it was always meant to be, a bridge between past and future, between hurt and healing. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't holding on, but learning to let go while keeping your heart open. I closed the music box, its melody fading like summer twilight. Through my dorm window, I could see students crossing the quad, their lives intersecting and diverging like the paths in Mom's garden. Tomorrow, I drive to the antique dealer 2 towns over, another piece of Mom's collection waiting to come home. But tonight, I had reading to do, a future to build, and bridges to cross. My phone lit up with a text from Marisol. James rolled over today. Thought you'd want to know. Below it was a video attachment, and despite everything, I found myself smiling as I pressed play. Some bridges, it seemed, built themselves when you weren't looking.